is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...
Booty! Sick! Booty!
Fucking deal with it. What are we really doing?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
A zebra in between a tarantula and an elephant
has been nothing more than a sham.
Yeah, we didn't play well, but you know what? At the end of the day, we got the job done.
It's going to be a good time for sure.
Oh, sex with the first cousin would indeed be incest. And
she's a man-eater. You know, what's that whole thing with the whole
maniac, but
maniac on the floor? That's something else completely. And she's dancing like she's never danced before. That was for Flash Dance, right? Yeah, Flash.
I see why you thought it was Splash Dance, because of the whole in the water,
tossing buckets of water on her. No, I was thinking all the Hall & Oates songs, because apparently they're going to go to court. They had some sort of major riff going on, so no more Hall & Oates. It's just Hall. And
who's taking who? Is Hall taking Oates, or is Oates taking Hall?
I think Hall actually had like a restraining order against Oates. So, which is really weird because Oates is like 5'1". He's like a hobbit. So I don't know why.
He's got that whole Napoleon complex, the little man syndrome.
All righty. No more on the Napoleonic syndrome.
Right.
That the British made up. By the way, if you're John Cougar Mellencamp and you're doing a concert, I haven't talked about this yet.
Have we not? Oh man, It's just been all over the place. Maybe I just thought we talked about this.
No. And you're doing a concert and you start lecturing the audience who didn't really come there to watch you discuss politics. You're probably going to get somewhere between 40 and 45% of your fans who really weren't there to listen to your politics and probably are not going to agree with you to start jeering you and telling you to shut up and just play music, which is what happened. So I played music for years. I never talked politics on stage. I didn't talk much at all on stage.
I mean, it's fine if your band is built on that, like Rage Against the Machine, or even if you're punk to that extent.
I don't know. Rage Against the Machine. They kind of
they're not raging anymore.
No, they're not raging anymore at all.
Raging for the machine now.
They're for the machine, exactly. And
I think it comes with age, right?
What? I guess
age, right?
I guess it does.
At some point, you start thinking, "Man, I'm going to be hitting that Medicare, Medicaid age. I better start working with than against."
Weren't they hardcore socialists back in the day, and now they're just average, everyday Democrats? So, how boring is that? Especially today's Democrats. Not saying anything positive about today's Republicans either. Just be clear. Be clear to everybody there. Green Day did it recently. Yeah, they did. I don't know why people do that shit. Things are so complicated right now. I don't know how you just come out and say, yeah, I'm embracing whatever. Because embracing any of it without a whole lot of salt, let's say salt, is quite difficult these days.
Say whatever you want if you made your million already.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whatever.
The turd says, welcome back to the Straight Red Card. Well, some bad news out of the Netherlands, as Sergino Dest is out for 9 months. On the right side, my wife will service Sergino for free. So not so bad.
Gotta, speed up the process of healing, so maybe.
Gotta fly him over to Holland.
Do you think Wes could let Dest in on his secret as far as how to heal quicker?
No, I
thought we pretty much cracked it anyways. Wasn't it ranch on pizza?
Yeah, but those are just shoulder injuries. Those pop in and out. This is serious. This is like an ACL, which we will get to.
Rub some dirt on it.
Rub some dirt on it. Yeah, not an ACL. I don't know if it's an MCL or an ACL. Didn't hear that. Just heard he's going to be out. And we'll get to this, but we're kind of fucked in a way. Yeah, I said it. And it's a lot bigger loss than people. Well, most people feel like it's a big ass loss. Let's just put it that way. Also, I did watch the Dutch Open darts U14 finals, U14s. Okay. These kids were awful. They sucked. Like, I could torch these kids in darts. I would slaughter them in darts. Now, I'm pretty good, but, that's why you never look at these U14s and go, oh, yeah. They're going to be a superstar because they're winning in their age group. Well, once they start stepping up to the big boys, I don't think so.
But they got U14s in darts?
Yeah. In the open darts, they got U14s, U18 category, and then the big boys, right? And then the women's category. Although some of the best women play with the men. They, in certain.
I feel like if there's any sport out there, you can not have an advantage between being one or the other.
Well, I agree with you because there are a lot of really short dart players. Like Luke Littler's probably like 5'7", and he's probably going to be the next greatest thing in darts. And he's only 17 years old. But a lot of the other ones that are really good or in the past have been quite tall because you can lean forward closer to the board, right? Right. I mean, there is some advantage to that. And you're throwing down at the board, right? Rather than up at the board. That's a little harder, but I think you could figure it out. If you're throwing down,
if your size is fixed at that point, I believe you can throw it anywhere you want.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
you get
of course to your point as far as leaning into it.
Yeah,
I mean that's sort of like sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off. The last thing I'm going to say about that whole leaning over thing is that was my argument with beer pong all the time. Is you have all these long, lanky,
the basketball players
like reaching over like. You're practically dunking that shit. Stop it.
I know. I remember in high school playing that shit, and the basketball players are like
elbow on the line. You can throw that way. Come on, that's over the line, Donnie. Over the line.
Let's keep it fair. All right, Mr. 6'10". Also, I know that Max put out a show, talking about the pro rel thing and that debate he had with Pete. If you're going to do a whole show where you address someone else's comments and it's so obviously Pete, you might as well just say. In response to Pete. We do it. We do it all the time.
Well, I mean, that would have been one of those things that would have been fun for him to get Pete on the show.
Yeah, I think so.
And do like a nice little 15, 20, 25-minute recorded show. They can banter back and forth,
Well, yeah, as long as they can get past that little rift they just had on X where they're accusing each other of being a sellout and the other one saying whatever.
Fat old nothing burger.
I think it is.
Come on, guys.
That's why they should have had it out. They should have had a debate on that. That would have been more fun than listening to them, wring their hands on X. Also, let me see this. Oh, Jake is back. His show's back. I did watch the one today. Dude, he's back to a 4-3-3 and using Reyna out wide in the new show. As part of his solution to fixing the Dest problem. I'm like, no.
I must have glossed over that segment. I mean, was it the 6-minute show? Was there a different show?
It just came out today.
Yeah, okay. It was that.
Oh, and
his 6 minutes. I must have missed him when we talked about that.
Yeah, his views have dropped like a rock because he's been gone for so long.
When I clicked on it, it was 3 hours in. He had 300 views. Don't worry. I mean, if he's got to keep it up, you got to keep it up. Jake, keep it up. You'll bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be going that long. You can't be going that long.
You can't be. Yeah, people just forget you exist. And then he suggested using Chris Richards at right back, which is fine if you don't want Chris Richards to barely ever get past the halfway point on the field, I suppose, which we'll get into.
Well, I mean, at that point, what's the big difference between say Chris Richards and Joe Scally at right back?
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Although Joe will probably get a little further forward. But, I mean, that's a purely, when he was used at Crystal Palace for that was purely a defensive right back, almost purely. That's like saying Trusty can play left back. If you could do that, but he's going to be absolutely just a defensive left back. He's not going to give you that much going forward. And that's just the truth. Also, did you notice that Inter Milan got their second star today? And I was thinking, second star, shouldn't they have like 20 stars? But apparently, you need 10 stars to get a star.
Yep.
Holy crap. I guess they're looking towards the future. Because my first thought was
your Juve, AC Milan, and Inter Milan. You can how many stars you're going to have on there? It's going to look like the American flag before too long.
Right, but maybe a gold star represents every 5, and then you just
what about like a hollow star, like not a non-filled in star equals 1. But the problem is then you'd still have like 2 solid and like 4 hollow. I mean, I don't know how that would work out.
I mean,
once you get over 10, I think once you get over 10, at that point you just go to the full solid route.
It's like Bayern; they just have stars all over their chest.
It'd be like watching like Ohio State in football when they have those stickers on their helmet.
Yeah, the stickers on the helmet.
It'd be like all one giant star going down their kit. Yeah,
just covering the whole goddamn thing. Also, I have to say this because I guess Elizabeth Moss is coming out in a new series, and if you don't know her, she was in Mad Men and The Handmaid's Tale, and I don't know what it is about her. But I have like the biggest like man crush on her ever. I know it. She's not.
Hold on. How do you have a man crush?
Well, no, I'm a man and an older gentleman.
Okay.
But I don't know what it is about her. I just find her incredibly attractive. Elizabeth Moss. She was in the Mad Men series and Handmaid's Tale. She's even in her 40s. Somebody says Elizabeth Stick Cocaine Moss. Did she do cocaine? I'm even more curious than I was before. Anyhow, she's not classically beautiful or anything in any weird way, but I just find her incredibly attractive, and I don't know why.
This chick?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know why. Something about her draws me to her like a moth to a flame. Anyhow, it's a weird little fetish I've got. I mean, not fetishes I'm sitting around jerking off to pictures of her or anything like that. Although there is fake celebrity porn out there. Have you heard of that?
One of the good things AI brought to the equation, right?
Fake celebrity porn?
Yeah.
You brought that to the equation?
No,
How?
AI.
Oh, AI. I thought you said
I mean, they're working and like, all right, this is going to be nice.
I was going to ask you, why are you here? You should be a millionaire smoking somewhere. But yeah, the fake.
Joey, you got it wrong. It's not what a man crush is.
Yeah, it was a bad way to put it. That meant I would have she would be a man.
You'd be like Ryan Reynolds. I kind of have a man crush on him right now.
Do you? Okay.
And that's what a man crush is.
Oh no, I know. I kind of
crush on a man.
I was trying to figure out a way to say an elderly man who has a crush on a very, woman.
You're the male version of, I was going to say male version of a cougar, but I guess you're just a typical male.
Right? A male version of a cougar. There are male versions of cougars. Wow. All right.
I mean, yeah, an elderly male dating a younger female, that's just a male.
Yeah.
Typical older male at that point.
She wouldn't have me, so it's okay. But I don't know why. I just find her deeply attractive for whatever reason. And I saw
Ryan DeMarco says a creep crush?
I guess that is, but it's not creepy because she'll never know about it, right? And I won't be stalking her or anything like that. Now that would be creepy
anymore, right there.
Anymore, right? Right.
Yeah,
no.
Anymore,
No, I never did that. I'm not a stalker. I just don't have the time or the patience to be a stalker. So anyhow, that's all I got for things on my mind.
Silver fox?
A silver fox. I don't know what that kind of crush would be. I know one thing it is. It's an unrealistic crush. That's for sure.
Sugar daddy, but not rich?
There is no way that is ever going to happen.
That'd be the opposite. I mean, if she's starring in movies and TV shows, you wouldn't be a sugar daddy to her. You'd be she'd be your sugar mama. In that sense.
Yeah, no, she's definitely making millions. The Handmaid's Tale was a huge series. Obviously, Mad Men was ginormous. You're right, and she was in several sex scenes in that. That's when I first got a crush on her. And then I never really watched The Handmaid's Tale. So that's odd, right? You'd think if I were that drawn to her like a moth, I would have watched The Handmaid's Tale.
Now you're just visiting the AI porn sites. Why would you ever go watch that when you could just go watch that?
I haven't checked out if there is a fake celebrity porn.
One of her? I don't know.
There probably is one of her fake celebrity porn. I would guess. I don't know. I guess I could make it myself if I really got into the AI thing. And you can buy all these apps now. Where you
do it yourself. Yeah, I'm not stalking her or anything like that. Nothing creepy, because this isn't a creepy crush, but I will make AI porn about her.
No, but there's all that stuff now where you can take somebody else's face and put it on like a porn actress's face, and then it all looks real or whatever. Have you seen that? I've seen it. Anyhow, it's a little weird and it doesn't look that great, actually. You're like, yeah, okay. That's not really that great yet. You guys have some work to do on the AI. That does not look like, whatever her name is, Anyhow,
yeah,
I'm sure they'll get better at it. But yeah, a lot of that AI stuff is creepy. It is officially creepy, right?
Yeah.
So, what do we got here? What a sentence to enter the show on. I'm not a stalker. And I never have been. It took me a minute to get this, but when I did, so we got so screwed. Drum? Is that a drum? I don't know what that is.
I screw, I nut, I bolt.
That's not a good nut. That doesn't look like
that's the nut. Yeah, it's a nut.
No, it doesn't look enough.
We go
like
on this
nut.
side of the bolt if you want.
They needed to put like Mr. Peanut on there or something like that.
No, it's all tool related here.
Oh, that's a nut as in a Bolton nut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see that from here. It's too shady.
It's a little blurry. I mean, the guy took a photo from his car to the car in front of him. It's not going to be perfect by any means.
Well, he needs to do a better job.
Get a better phone. I swear to God. Lazy motherfuckers.
Get a close up at a stop sign. God damn it! Got to do better.
All right, last bit of fluff I'm going to play here.
All right.
Well,
hey, by the way, everybody that's here, make sure you like and subscribe to the show, but mostly just like it. I mean, we got like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people watching some of these shows, and they show up and there's like 200 likes. I'm like, does that mean that 2,800 people watched the show and we're like, fuck this show?
Not necessarily. We guys have to gauge it on the number of unique viewers of watching that show. I mean, we do tend to drag our shows out long because we like to talk a lot. We have fun with the chat.
Yeah.
But not everybody's down for a 3-hour show. So they come back.
Okay. Well, we don't do a 3-hour show every time. So,
yeah. I mean, 75% of the time, right?
That would be outrageous. Now, what is this cock and spiel you've got up on the screen?
Have you ever found a wallet on the floor?
Is that what that is, huh?
Yeah,
I have found someone's wallet on the floor before.
Bet you it wasn't a wallet like this one.
Okay. Oh, bummer for him.
Oh, that's a brilliant marketing plan. Right?
I like it, yeah.
Son of a bitch.
No money. Damn it. But really, if you find somebody's wallet, you shouldn't take their money, people. All right? That goes without saying. We all know that. And usually their driver's license has their address. You can just drive to their house and drop it in their mailbox. That's what I've done.
That's nice of you.
Left all the money in there.
Except for gas money, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh, come on. You've got the gas money.
No. Sorry. It's just, that's how I was raised.
So, guys, make sure when you come to Indy next time, if you're from California, drop your wallet in front of Derek's his house or apartment, and he will drive it to you in California.
No, if you do it on purpose, I'm taking all the money out first. Don't do it on purpose.
Kumar says, do people even carry cash anymore?
Yeah, they do, believe it or not. I mean, I don't, but I
carry cash is when people give me cash.
I just had a lady buy 15 of my books at $20 a piece, and I dropped them off at her house here in Indianapolis. She literally lives 10 blocks from my house, and I'm the only one that has any of my books left. I have like 3 boxes left, and she paid me in cash. I said, cash or check, I'm fine. She paid me in cash. So then I had this big massive wad of cash in my wallet, hurting my ass for like 4 or 5 days. So I finally went to Myers and just spent the whole fucking wad of it on groceries. So
you could have gone to your bank and deposited it too.
But
I guess if you're gonna spend the money anyways.
No IU credit unions in Indianapolis.
Yeah, you got to change your bank, man.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Pineda says, I am from California, actually. I know. I was talking to you, Jack.
About what?
I said if somebody's from California, they drop off your wallet, you'll drive it back to them in California.
Oh, yeah. Jack's going to first have to drive here and drop it off. That sounds like
you don't
a
know.
long
Maybe
drive.
he's going to be here on a business trip. You don't know.
Joey says, you carry your wallet in your back pocket. Dude, I'm 52. Yes. Yes, I do. I am like the guy on Seinfeld. I'm George.
Joey's trying to figure out how to pickpocket you here or something. Who doesn't?
I'm George from
where are you putting
Seinfeld.
I guess most people. I feel like most people would put their wallet in their back pocket. Yes.
Apparently
or is
not.
that an age thing? Well, I guess we're not carrying the fanny packs around our chest, guys. We're not that young anymore.
Chest? You mean their guts?
No. They wear them cross shoulder now.
Oh, that's true. And they also have those new super thin wallets that carry like all your cards and your cash and like the thinnest little tiny strip things. So, yeah. So
I guess that time you could probably put it in your front pocket at that point because that thing's a little bitty.
Yeah. Chris says Derek's 52 and cashless. I guess he's not a boomer. No, I mean, I'm really not a boomer. My parents are boomers. So, that whole thing is definitely a joke. I am Gen X. And I am Gen X hardcore.
Here we go. No, I put it on my my Gucci bag.
Gucci, 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 Gucci. Gucci, Gucci, Gucci. Gucci, 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 Gucci. Isn't there a song like that? Where the guy says Gucci like 1,000 times?
That's a great point too. I guess Fumar was talking about carrying, not even having a wallet. So my guess is probably all on his phone is my guess. But Laverdad has a good point here. Guys these days can't fit their wallet in their tight ass pants.
Yeah, they put it in their tight ass instead. That's how they carry it around.
Nobody's gonna steal that. I mean, pass.
Bend over and put the glove on. I'm here to rob you. All right, what else we got, Brett?
What else do we got? We got
transfer news. Transfer news. Who's getting mounted on transfer news? Who's getting over on transfer news? Transfer news. Everyone loves that transfer news, but me.
Whatever.
Who's getting fondled on transfer news? Yeah. Fondled. All right, here we go. Salty ladies.
Hold on.
You got to blow that up a little bit. That's a little small. That's what she said. All right, multiple European.
Read again.
Salty loads.
I couldn't let you get away with ladies there.
Yeah, it was so small I couldn't read it. All right, that's what she said. Multiple European clubs are monitoring star Atlanta United fullback Brooks. Oh, come on. For a potential summer transfer. Teams include Bayer Leverkusen, Borussia Dortmund, Wolfsburg, Man City. Okay, this is just a joke. And Leeds
seriously,
United.
Take a look at Saul. He is a legitimate source. I mean, seriously, he looks legit.
Willie Pfister Gash from the Harden times. All right.
Yeah, Brian's got it down. I mean, Willie Pfister Gash is a quality reporter.
He is quality. And he makes sure he gets all lubed up prior.
This is just to get everybody's juices flowing. Stoked about Brooks Lennon leaving Atlanta United for some big teams in Europe.
Hey, maybe Leeds. They did win today. You never know. I don't know. He probably couldn't make the Leeds team. He wouldn't play much, but they're not signing him. They're going to spend. If they go back up, they're going to actually probably. I mean, who's he going to take out? Firpo for a job?
Maybe. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So Saul's our good friend Mitch, good friend of the show, Mitch. He hasn't been on here in a while.
I know. I kind of figured that it might have been Mitch Desi. Yeah.
You don't really see. He was missing his handle. You can even see a little bit of it here.
I do like the salty loads things.
Yeah, even's like now my username is hidden. hopefully Gen X Richie falls for it.
I fall for it on purpose, Desi. I really do, because I think it's important to honor your creativity and everybody else's creativity as well. That's really important.
I don't necessarily think you're falling on the sword of the name in this situation, but falling for the quote. He goes into who names their kid Willie, and then afterwards Fister Gash. If your name is Fister Gash,
there's nobody has a last name in the world Fister Gash. Sorry,
you never know that.
No, they don't. We can look it up tomorrow. Oh. I'm pretty sure no. Hey, look it up in transfer market. We're gonna have a player named Fister Gash.
I'm gonna do it right now. Actually, let's just take a look. I mean, I'm surprised how many names there are in here that no, there are not.
Yes.
Under the name of Fister Gash, there's no professional player. But to be fair, though, Derek, I mean, we're talking about a minute percentage, like a percent of a percentage. There are people who actually become professional players.
There are Fisters in there.
Oh.
So there are just no Fister Gash. So the Fisters are kind of open to the Gash or whatever.
Anywhere,
want.
Yeah. Anywhere.
Whatever you want fisted.
The noise it makes too. It's the weirdest thing.
What is the noise it makes?
The noise makes.
I wouldn't have any idea. That's one thing I've never done. I've never fisted anybody. But I know that you and EB are into some weird shit. All right. Artem Dragstov for $2. Thank you, brother. I think you just froze, Brett.
No, I'm trying to read this. Sorry.
What?
Go ahead. Read my name backwards is what he says for $2.
Voltsgard Moi Tra. Okay, we read it backwards.
Voltsgrad Moi Tra.
We did read it backwards, so we did our best. That's the best we can do. Sorry about that, Artem, if we missed the joke.
He's trolling. He's nothing.
But thanks for $2. We'll take the troll. All right, what else we got, Brett? We got some.
Well, yes, I got more stuff. Lots and lots of more stuff.
Okay. Here. Do not panic. Do not panic. Cap them now. Cap them now. Yeah. Okay, so let's start the panic, folks. Gol di Lorenzi di Agostina para evitar la derrota de la Lazio United.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Just kidding. I don't speak that shit. All right, I have no idea. That's got to be Italian, right?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Let me.
What we got here? We got here Venezuela, Italian, American.
No, that looks Spanish to me. Anyhow,
it says Venezuela.
Well, they speak Spanish in Venezuela.
That's fair. But he's playing in United. Yeah,
he's playing in Italy, so yeah, it's
translate. What? How am I supposed to read this? He's playing for Lazio.
Yes, he is, and he has come up on our show before. By the way, this is not new.
Yeah,
he's with their U19s.
Always got to stay cautious, concerned about all the dual nats in Europe, Derek.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, he's playing for Lazio. He's not playing for some MLS, academy team.
Next pro
team. He is out there with a big club who has obviously high hopes for him, and so he's definitely worth keeping an eye on, and good for him for scoring. I wouldn't be too worried about who he's going to play for. I mean, Venezuela is a shitty team. Italy is a really, really good team, so the chances of him making that team are small. And, the chances of making our team are small right now. But if he does something amazing, and let's say he makes the big boy Lazio team and starts, yeah, we're going to look at him. We'll look at him.
He's a 18-year-old center forward.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's a position that has a lot of competition right now, but there's nobody who is in that position right now that's playing in a top 5 league and absolutely killing it, except for, well, you can't even say Balogun because he had another bad weekend.
Here's the good news. The 18-year-old has not played for any youth national teams.
That's not even good news, I don't think, is it? I don't think that's good news that no one's called him up.
He was actually part of Miami's academy team.
Yeah, you would think somebody would have called him up by now. even especially Venezuela, but why with the chaos going on in Venezuela would you want to go there? Because that right now that country is in turmoil in many, many ways. So let's see, 21-year-old forward Johan Angstmann. This guy's got a lot of angst. Scored his 5th goal in 7 matches for FC Lugano's reserves. So that's a Swiss team, obviously.
Yeah.
That is
Chicago Fire have a partnership with them right now.
So
we can pull him.
I mean, unless he starts 5th goal in 7 matches is good. Not complaining about that. I think that's a good start, but he's going to have to kill it in the way PFOC killed it in Switzerland in order to move to a bigger team.
So. It literally is called the Promotion League. Is that the FC Lugano's second team or something?
It must be. It must be. If you blew that up bigger, I could tell you based on the teams they're playing. Okay,
that's Europa Conference.
Yeah, that's Conference League. So this is all youth stuff. This is all these are youth games, and wow, he did not play a whole lot, did he, for a while?
Different cups and stuff like that. I wonder if that's the first team though.
No, I don't think so. Might be, but yeah, that is first team right there because it's got FC Basel in there, etc.
Yeah.
But this is more. And it looks like
he's 21s. Yeah.
He's getting some minutes here. This is good. He just needs to keep it up, but he's no spring chicken anymore.
He's 21.
He's 21 years old. So, I mean, he's got to kick it into gear soon. Yeah. Because 22 is around the corner, 23, and before you know it, I mean, really he should be playing for the big boy team, right?
At 21? Yeah,
yes.
Rolled into, yeah.
Yeah, not the 2 team. So that's again, I wouldn't get a big boner on this one. It's nice, but
in fairness, though, that is legal to do so if you wanted to, though.
He is on the
21.
Yeah. Belgian club Westerlo. Did you see Pete's weekend report? I think
did he say Westerlo?
Not only did he say Westerlo, he added an O.
Oh.
So the last time we had him on the show, or I had him on the show, and I explained to him that it's not like Waterloo because Waterloo has an extra O. Now it's in his psyche. So now he's just gone ahead and added an extra O to Westerlo.
I should probably add a third one just to be safe.
It's Westerlo. Belgian club Westerlo are on the brink of signing. I just inhaled my own spit. Are on the brink of signing 18-year-old dual net. Everyone's a dual net. Attacker Julian Placias, who also can play for Argentina. Woo! Shaking in my boots there. Formerly the LA Galaxy Academy. 17-year-old dual net midfielder Ilkin Ozdemir. I wonder if he's related to Ursel. Will leave the club.
Probably.
He could be. You never know.
Yeah.
You don't run across Ozdemir
down the line.
Yeah.
I don't know how popular of a Turkish name that is.
Well, it is a popular Turkish name, but not in the United States.
Sure, that's fair.
Anyhow, he'll leave the club in the summer. So LA Galaxy Academy, I take it. Yeah, but he doesn't say where what's he leaving to go get a real job or go to college? We don't know.
No, well, he's going to turn 18, I'm assuming. He's probably going to try his luck abroad.
Yeah. Okay, so we got currently Reynolds playing at Westerlo, and we got Griffin Yao. Mm-hmm. And neither of those players are anybody to get a big woody about. I mean, they're fine players in their own right, but they're not like mind-blowing. I don't think, either in the next 6 years are going to be, unless Yao just rips the Belgian league a new asshole going forward. But doesn't he? No, he was actually signed. He's not alone, is he?
Oh, I don't know that much.
He's going to stay at Westerlo, for what I understand. So will Reynolds probably, although his season has not been as.
I think they got Reynolds on full, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
But Reynolds has had not the greatest year. I think Griffin Yao has definitely had a better year than Reynolds at Westerlo. But I don't think I'm moving to Westerlo if you're Julian Plasius. I mean, it's fine. You're 18, so that's probably good for you, a good move, a good middle-of-the-road move. But it's not a signal that, like, there are a bunch of big teams out there going, this kid is hot shit. So if they're not thinking he's hot shit, that doesn't mean he won't amount to hot shit at some point. But I wouldn't bank on it. That's all I'm saying.
It's another team in Europe that you can watch up to 3 Americans at one point, depending if
he ever gets to play for the big boy team,
and if Westerlo's match is on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, the once every 7 weeks that they have a match on. So there's that too. But I have caught all the Westerlo
sucks.
It's Westerlo, Johnny. Come on, Johnny. Jose Reyes, we love you, my friend. Thank you for the $10. Cheers, friends. IMO. I don't think we have a striker problem. We now have 4 to 5 competent strikers, and they score for club. I agree they're competent. Why can't they score for country when we mostly play CONCACAF? Greg issues. Absolutely Greg issues. And we've said this so many times on this show that Brett's almost gotten a hernia. Because it's like, how many times can you say the same thing, you know? But
I got a tattoo on my body somewhere. I forgot where I put it.
It's like Greg doesn't know how to play the 9. It's right on his
9.
chest.
What 9?
9? What 9? Greg. Greg Berhalter. So yeah, no, I think they're competent. I think in some cases you could say some of them are hot. Certainly Haji's hot. I mean, not as a sexual creature, although he's an attractive man. Sargent's hot too. They're both scoring goals.
We're at a point now where we have so many competent scoring strikers for their clubs that we're contemplating using them on other spots of our attack.
I mean, you can't say that.
As a 9.
I know people are going to get upset about this, but I'm sorry. Balogun's not having a good season at Monaco.
What?
So there are only 2 guys that are hot, that are strikers right now. Only 2. Balogun's still kind of it's a roller coaster ride of a season. It really is for him. A lot of lows, though. You don't like to see a lot of lows. I'd rather see consistency than some highs at the beginning, and now we're dropping into some lows. So we'll see what happens there. And then Pepe, who the knows what's going on there, right? Because ever since his agent came out and then he said his little dinky thing
Who's Pepe's young underling that's vying for a spot now that he said he put his foot in his mouth?
Oh yeah. The unicorn.
Yeah, the unicorn apparently played for their second team, so that might be good for Pepe in the end.
Yeah. No, he went back down there.
I think Al mentioned that earlier.
Doesn't mean he's not going to pop back up if this continues and come in the last 5 minutes to take Pepe's usual 5 to 10 minutes instead. Yeah, Al, we call him the unicorn instead of unicorn because he is supposedly, according to all Dutch people or a lot of people who watch the league, he's like the next greatest Peter North of soccer.
Whoa, he's got to wrap that around his leg then when he goes to play, right?
Yeah, got to tie it down.
What is it? Just one time around his leg?
No, you just tie it down. Little strap, little
bow tie,
little belt. Strap it down.
Tuck it into his belly button.
Yeah. Oh no. Tuck it into his ass. All right. U.S. men's national team report says both Alejandro Granados, who can play for Spain, and Devon de Courts, who can play for Belgium, seasons concluded today after playing each other. Both had successful first seasons in Europe, respectively. In 23 appearances, Granados had 1,329 minutes, 1,329 minutes, while Decourt had 584 minutes. I wouldn't call that successful. In 12 appearances, first team next season. Short answer, no. Probably not.
So here's Alejandro Granados.
Yeah, both got work to do. Big time work. I don't think they're moving up to the And he plays for what they call, they don't call it Club Bruges 2 there, do they? No.
Club Next.
They call it Club Next because they've caught the cooties from MLS.
I was going to say, who do you think named it first?
I think MLS did. I think this is fairly new. It was this season that they changed Club Bruges 2 to Club Next, which is about the dumbest thing I've ever read. It's about the stupidest name for a club I've ever heard of. Club Next.
It's a little bit different in the logo.
Just stick with the.
Look at they go like that, whereas they just went like the two V's, the caret and the V.
I'll tell you who he did play more minutes for the 2 team in Club Bruges. He played a lot more games for the 2 team than our good model friend that's at Club Bruges.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
it's funny that that Alejandro actually went from an MLS Next Pro team to play for Club Next.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, listen, good for him. He's a central midfielder. We'll see how that works out. Devin DeCortes setup is a little bit more bumpy since he's got there. Not even close to as many minutes. And yes, when we were talking about the model friend, we were talking about Otasawi, Al. You're right. I thought people might, just a hint. We don't want to bash him.
Not everybody gets it, yeah.
So I probably should have just not beat around the bush. Yeah, same thing here. Devin DeCourt, fine. I'm happy for him that he's there. As I say, don't whip out the lube. It's nothing to get overly excited about. It's not a panic time here. He's, Anderlecht's a fairly historic club at Belgium, but he's still playing for the little boy team, and he didn't even get a whole lot of minutes. So, in fact, he rode pine for quite a bit of the season. If we go down to the Challenge Pro League and we click on the number of games he played, you'll notice that he rode a lot of pine, and he wasn't even in the squad for a while. But now that
still in the season, man, he's a second half season kid.
Yeah, but look at the minutes. Look at the minutes. The last 3 games.
Yeah, 14, he came out on his late sub. Sure.
That's called a petering off. After getting 2 starts, one where you went, I believe, 62, and then the other one where you started and they yanked you at halftime, and now you're only getting 26. And yeah, it's not good. Now it's not the end of the road for him. I'm sure he'll get more opportunities, but neither of them, as far as the Twitter poster goes, neither of them will be playing in the big boy team for either of those clubs next season. Sorry. But there's 17, and if you haven't noticed, Anderlecht has some good players on it, and so does Club Bruges.
Accidentally closed out on the next person's name, so all I got is their transfer market. Got Elijah Scott.
Elijah Scott doesn't play in Belgium's youth squad. He plays in Germany's youth squad. That is something to actually care about. Now, when you start the caring process, then you have to ask yourself, does Elijah Scott play? How much does he play for the U19s or the U18s?
He's played 2 games with the German team, but this is Stuttgart's U19 team.
So he's definitely somebody we should at least care about. The chances of him ever making the German national team, even though he's been capped by the German U19 team, I wouldn't worry about that. The German youth teams are well known for capping just about everybody and their mom. They cap all kinds of players, tons of them. And they do that in some cases, in this case, because, they want to, of course, ingratiate themselves to a dual nat like Elijah. So I think this is a kid you probably should keep an eye on. But again, as Jackie D says, I really don't care about any of these kids. I know. It's too early to care. How old is he? 18?
18.
Okay, it's time to care now. 18 is, that's when I start paying attention for real. Because you're not really a youngster anymore. At 18, yes, you're still a teenager, but you're becoming a grown man. So And what was this question here? Somebody asked if they really capped him. I believe Germany has capped this kid.
He's on the U18 team.
The U18's called him up. That's not a cap.
It's not a cap.
It's not a cap. It's not an official cap. That won't count towards a cap. So there we go.
I think Derek was using the term cap as basically just giving anybody and everyone a chance on the German side.
Right. I shouldn't have used the word cap.
Yeah.
But they've called him up, and they call up all kinds of players. The Germans are infamous for having, going through like 30 or 40 players in the U19s in 1 year. They do it a lot. All right. Marcus Charez says, let's go to American Ultras Talk. That's a show that's been popping up yet. I have not watched it on my YouTube. If his American links are accurate, Wesley Okadua, England, Nigeria, United States, instantly becomes one of the most important multinationals of USSF. Our right back depth at every level is one of the worst positions in the pool. Instantly? Not instantly.
Well, let's see. Marcus says confirmed with well-connected English scout that he is in fact U.S. eligible. So there is that, I guess.
Isn't he the what's he with? Wolves U19?
Wolves Youth.
Okay.
He's a 15-year-old.
Oh my God. No, God. Call him up to the youth team if you want to. But if you're jizzing in your pants all over about a 15-year-old already,
Must
dude,
get him now.
You are a sicko.
Cap him.
Sicko. God almighty. Leave these kids alone. Frank Kassler for $4.99. Thank you, Frank. We appreciate it. Is everyone excited about Shaq Moore coming to Copa America? No.
Woo!
No, not at all. I hope it doesn't happen. So I understand the feeling from some of you watching the show that, these youngsters, maybe you bought into too much of what we're saying, or maybe you've always felt that way. This is nothing to really worry about yet. It's too early. And it's just, we have to address it because people post this shit constantly on X, and they're like, this is an immediate thing. We need to instantly, call this kid up.
So pulling back Jackie's comment here where they're like, I really don't care about any of these kids. That's kind of the point that we're trying to make.
That's what we're trying to say.
There are dual nats everywhere in Europe right now.
People don't even know it. There's literally over 200 of them.
We're bringing up some of these names and people are like, who is this? Why are we talking about this guy? What are they doing? That's the point.
But so every time somebody on X finds it, like they uncover it, and then they post it like nobody in God's earth knew about it ever. This is something they just, they put on their little detective hat and discovered. And then they post it up on X like, no one's ever heard of the kid. And oh boy, we need to call this kid up. We need to definitely instantly address this situation immediately. Oh, by the way, he's 15.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's the next dual net we need to get, Derek.
Jeez. So that's kind of the point, Jack D. We're trying to stop this. And I don't know how we're going to do it because some people really get off on that in Twitter. They're just like, that's all they care about is posting 15-year-olds up all day. And it's getting to a point where it's just getting ridiculous.
Did we already talk about this kid?
Yes.
Julian Plassi. Okay, I was going to say, how many more Westerlo kids can there be?
Same kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess let's move on to let's move out of the dual nats, move out of the transfer news. I'm honestly kind of surprised. We're almost through April. How are we not getting more transfer news rumors?
Yeah, I mean, we're headed towards summer. You think,
something's got to be chiming in here soon. Yeah, they've got like 5 games left for most leagues.
Yeah, you think the talk would start by now, especially since most teams know where they stand and most teams know about their weaknesses. So I'm surprised we're not getting more transfer news, or at least rumors. Unsubstantiated rumors, because those are usually a dime a dozen on X. All right, so we're watching the goal that people think that Matt Turner would save from Everton.
Yeah,
it kind of gets deflected a little, doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
Deflected further out, though.
Yeah.
To the right.
Away from cells. That does not help cells on the save.
The cells probably could have gotten if there was infected deflection, which I think
there is.
I mean, that's a tight spot. That's a tight spot for not to get deflected.
It's the second guy, I believe.
Oh.
Right? Through, hits his shin. Yep, and totally redirects.
Yeah, it kind of does look like it's going to the right now.
Yep. So, if you think Matt Turner would save that, I don't think so. And, I mean, maybe Matt Turner 2 years ago. But I don't think Matt Turner today saves that. Something's wrong with Matt Turner.
Yeah, I mean, even in Turner's prime, that still would have been a tough save. I mean,
it would have been. Yeah,
a pinpoint precision to that post that bounced in. It's not like it was like slotted nicely into the corner. It was about as far right as you can get and still score.
It was an unlucky little deflection there, because it was otherwise it was headed straight at cells.
So did you watch this game?
Yep.
Yeah. I watched the game all the way up to about the 53rd minute.
I stopped watching it.
It was like at that point, click, I've got other things to do. I need to go.
Yeah, Reyna's coming out. Okay, stop and watching. Don't care anymore. Done. I hope Nottingham Forest lose. And they did. Don't pull them out in the 53rd. I know what they
we brought this up. We're talking about Reyna and getting subbed off and everything like that. And I'm like, my question is, man, why did he even come in the second half? I mean, I guess on optics alone, coming out at halftime makes it look like the coach has a problem with how you're playing.
Right.
But he came in, he played for like another 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then he got subbed off.
Yeah, it was weird.
That seems a little crazy. I mean, that's practically getting subbed off at halftime.
It is. And I know that he wanted to get Alonga on the field, and so they could go back to doing what they usually do. And,
nothing apparently.
And Alonga is only fit enough to play about 40 minutes. So that's what he gave him, which means to me that next game, when Alonga is totally fit and ready to go 90, Reyna probably is not going to start. Now, did Reyna have a good game? I think he had a good game, personally. I didn't think it was bad, and I think that he was dangerous a couple times, and he also got Williams another shot in that game that Williams again
twice. I think it was 2 shots he had.
Williams still can't figure out how to get a shot on goal.
He was instrumental. Well, I say instrumental, but it was reflexing, if anything. It was a reflexive block that created their only good scoring opportunity in the first half anyways, outside of the Williams chance, is the ball was getting cleared out, and he got his foot out, blocked it, went right to Morgan Gibbs-White. He got stuck just outside the 18. He got kicked in the back of the heel. Should have probably been a PK.
That's what everybody says. And when I saw it, I'm like, it kind of looked like that to me, but I'm a biased, obviously.
So apparently so is VAR official.
Yes, exactly. Because they weren't going to get that call. And I think Nottingham Forest made it very clear afterwards with an ex-Twitter tweet that, hey, they warned the referees at the game that these guys should not be doing the VAR for a Luton game, that these people were Luton fans. And in fact, I think some reports had it.
You think you may be talking about this.
That the Luton, those guys were banned from doing Luton games last season. Or
they talked about that. Yeah,
earlier in the season.
Yeah. And then last season, yeah. And then, I think it was just doing anything for Luton last year. So it would have been championship, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, so they Nottingham Forest has submitted a formal request. Obviously, because they're pissed off about those calls. Mm-hmm. They thought 3 key match incidents: Ashley Young's challenge on Reyna on the 24th, Ashley Young's handball, which was so fucking obvious. I don't understand it. Ashley Young's challenge on Callum Hudson-Odoi, 56. We firmly advocate for broader football community and supporters to have access to audio and transcript for full transparency, ensuring the integrity of the sport is upheld. I think they're well within their rights, having watched those in replay, to ask, because one of those three, come on.
Ashley Young smirks during an interview as he's asked about Nottingham's Forest penalty appeals.
Dude, he clipped them. There's just no way around that.
No, that's the funny part. It's like Ashley Young. That's a hell of a question mark there for you, man. Mm-hmm. That game could have gone horribly bad for you guys by one player's action. So
yeah, And otherwise in that game, I was frustrated. Obviously, Reyna had to play a lot of defense, number one. But number two, I thought there were times where he found open space and he didn't get the ball. And that frustrated me as well.
Yeah. I was looking at the stats and everything for him and then Gibbs White. And, obviously Reyna left at the 53rd minute. Gibbs White played full 90. But White also had like twice as many touches.
Yeah.
And so forth. But I guess the positive here, if you want to take FootMob as a source, Reyna got the second highest rating.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if I'm Nuno, I still don't really understand why you're not playing Reyna more centrally, but that's just me.
Well, given if you're going to have Gibbs White and Reyna out at the same time, you're going to get more of a winger role that you would normally get with like Langa or Origi in there with Gibbs White because he's a hustler. He's busting his ass up and down that pitch.
Right.
And I'm not saying that Reyna's not a hustler, but he doesn't look. We always talk about this. He doesn't look like he's really running around, but he's covering a lot of ground usually.
Yep.
But he's not doing it quite at the same pace that you would see like an Langa or an Origi in that sense. So
Loverdot's right. He did play tucked in quite a bit of the game because the ball was always on the other side of the field.
Yeah, keep playing down on Doyle's side, man. That worked out really well for them.
Yeah, over and over and over and over again down the same side. It's old. It's like today. All right. It's the same thing with Pulisic and AC Milan. I couldn't believe it. But they were playing down Musa's side almost the whole first half. Mm-hmm. Like, it was all Musa. And then, of course, Pulisic was pinched in because he wanted to actually play some soccer. But he wasn't allowed to because he wasn't involved in any of that part of the game. It's frustrating to watch. Why, you don't try to play down the other side of the pitch. I don't understand it. Mm-hmm. I don't know why teams ram their head against the wall so hard when there are two sides of the pitch. There's the left and there is the right, and you can use both. So anyhow, we'll see what happens with Reyna going forward now that Elanga seems to be back to fitness or will be back in fitness. We'll see if he gets to start.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you think of this quote by Nico Williams talking about how the top 6 teams get those penalties or get them penalties?
Top 6 teams get them penalties. This is what Nico Williams rages over. And I don't know if that's always true, but it does seem to me that the bigger clubs do get more calls.
Well, shit. I mean, at least one of those would have made a difference. I mean,
oh, yeah.
I think Reyna's in the first half would have put them 1-1. It would have tied it up.
Yep.
Assuming that they put it away, of course, which I think they, whatever, like 80%,
oh, yeah.
80% of the time you should.
Yep.
But then, I mean, I guess your question, obviously, at that point is if Forrest scored that, do you even have the second or third PK question marks? Because you're assuming at that point that the game plays out the same way that it would have.
Bottom line is, Reyna probably would have still come out. I think.
Yeah. I'm not doubting that.
So in that case, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't give up.
I don't care. I mean, Nottingham Forest are just barely above the drop zone at this point. So, it's pucker factor now. It's like, they can barely take a shit. Their ass is puckered so tightly going into these next few games. Good luck to them.
Well, I think EPL refs just fucking suck. And there's something to that. But I think the bigger thing is their VAR sucks.
God, I know.
Every week there's some drama or hysteria.
It's supposed to make it clearer, not less clear.
The funny thing is that a lot of the fans I've seen from the EPL side commenting on this type of this bit of drama, not this specific one, but the other ones throughout the season, is that it's like you could forgive a ref makes a bad call and it changes the game, whether it's like the hand of God or whatever that type of shit. Big plays that ruin games. You could almost forgive the ref for that because it's happening in real time, whereas you can't forgive VAR because they're literally seeing it over and over and over and over and over again.
Right. And BMR says, it was not clear and obvious. And then he adds laughing out loud because I don't know if he believes that. But, I mean, It's not that difficult. It really isn't. And
it's a Jim Curtin quote.
It's another subjective term. What is clear and what's clear and obvious to me is going to be different than what's clear and obvious to you.
Again, that was Jim Curtin's comment. We never did play it, I don't think, last week.
He's a fucking genius if he said that. All right, because I just said it.
This isn't a reference to the refs. I'm not making any comments about them, but man, I'm gonna add it in a comment that's talking about the refs.
Right.
Please don't find me. Please don't find me.
Al Weinstein wants me to eat crow now. Marseille wouldn't have been a better landing spot. Would have been. Derek should eat crow at the very least because it's entertaining. Well, let's just see what happens in these last handful of games. And if it goes back to Alonga starting and Reyna goes back to playing 10 minutes again, yeah. I've heard
crow tastes awfully like blackened chicken. Right?
I hope so. I hope so. Although I'm just probably going to have wings. I don't really have crow people. They don't sell that. I'd have to go out and physically kill a crow.
Hunt a crow.
Yeah.
Put more paint on, hiding in the brush.
I'm not killing a crow. Not happening.
I just want to see you hiding in the brush, brambles and sticks and leaves on your head and stuff like that. And
it doesn't
bow and arrow.
It doesn't seem that difficult to kill a crow if you really wanted to.
Couldn't imagine if you,
because they don't give a shit about you.
Yeah, it's not like
humans.
It's not like a little tiny bird that flutters away at any sound.
No, they don't give
whatever.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about humans. They just could give two shits. So, I mean, they'll just sit there as I get my BB gun out and pop it in the skull. All right, and I don't have a BB gun, so there's that. And I don't want to get arrested for bringing a real gun out at the house. So, all right, what else we got?
Did you know that Canada is on the look for a new coach?
Yeah, and apparently they got a gigantic Peter North for Jesse Marsh. That's what.
Yeah, well, no, they don't actually. Nobody actually specifies who it is. They mentioned that there's an American coach that's in question, and then that there are like six coaches that they're interviewing, and they're all from different nationalities. One of them happens to be an American.
That's
all they talk about. Of course, everybody jumps to Jesse. Hey, he's going there. My question is, do you think Canada could afford Jesse as a national team coach?
No.
I don't think so.
My
question was, where's Hugo Perez these days?
I mean, who knows where he went after the El Salvador thing, which those idiots firing him was stupid.
Beyond me on that one. He's so punched above their weight.
I mean,
like Tyson punch-out type punching,
Yeah. I mean, they'd be smart to get Hugo Perez. I think he took a very mediocre El Salvador team and made them competitive. So
it's just, I mean, I think Hugo's open right now. Jesse's doing his Paramount Plus stuff, his broadcasting stuff, and he's digging that. He's digging being a broadcaster.
Well,
I don't know how much he's willing to just throw in for any willy-nilly coaching gig.
How big of a liar/hypocrite would it make him look like to say he was never really interested in the U.S. men's national team job and then go off and take the Canada job?
There is a quote that he had made before he took the I think the Salzburg job, that he was really vying for the Canadian job at that point. But
maybe
I was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Canada is they can't figure out how to get one of their 700 billionaires that live in Canada.
70, I think it is, something like that.
71. It was like 71 billionaires. They can't get one of those rich pricks to write them a check for $3 million as a donation that they can write off.
Exactly.
It's amazing to me. Then they could afford Jesse Marsh, probably. I mean, on the short term, but not the long term.
What's Bruce Arena up to these days? He can't get back into MLS anymore, so
it could be, but that would be really weird, right? I think he'd probably do it for $250,000.
Yeah,
honestly, but Jesse's more around.
He's only got 2 more years of the cycle left too. So if you give him $250,000, I mean that's pretty good money for that point.
I thought Bruce was cleared to come back.
No, I don't know. Maybe.
That he's had that I have to go and suck Don Garber's cock in his office meeting already, and that he's been cleared to come back.
Do we know what he actually said? They're mums on the word, so I don't know.
I mean, the rumors are that he and what's his face, Richie Williams,
the assistant,
had a big argument and debate, and he called him some sort of offensive name, like the F word,
Fucker?
or no.
I swear to God.
Yeah.
Can't
that's just the rumor. It was some sort of offensive word.
Bob Bradley's up in
no, he's up in the Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he could punt that job and take the Canada job, and there is nothing more than Bob Bradley would love to do than come back and fuck up the U.S. soccer. Fuck them up. Fuck them up.
Well,
trust
he's
me.
not really going to get a chance outside of maybe the next Nations League, and that's literally about it.
Yeah. I mean, but he hates U.S. soccer. I mean, he's made that very clear. He said they're
dicked him over.
But I mean, it is a different generation of U.S. soccer leaders there than fucked him over. Obviously,
that's fair.
That's so fair. Maybe his perspective has changed since then. But boy, he hates Galati. Hated Galati with a passion. I mean, we heard that from our friend that was at a party with him in Chicago, and at some sort of fundraiser, and he was just talking shit. This is right after he got fired, I believe.
Friend's name happened to rhyme with Skeet.
No, it was our Chicago friend.
Pete. I know, I'm joking.
Oh no, not Pete.
No.
God, what was his name?
Trekker.
No, it wasn't Jamie.
Well, he is from Chicago, but okay, that's why I assumed.
Ruben. It was Ruben.
Oh, okay.
Ruben was at a Chicago Fire or some sort of party there. And he right after it happened, he wrote me. I thought maybe he didn't write you, but he said, "This is
very
what
possible." Like a decade ago, Derek. I don't know.
This is what Bob Bradley said in private at this party. You wouldn't believe it. I'm like, I believe it. They fucked him over. So it doesn't surprise me that he's pissed. So let's see. All right. So Jesse Marsh, probably not.
Yeah,
him.
but I mean, we had talked to just recently. I mean, this is kind of playing into the U.S. men's national team here as well. We had talked to I think Lexi brought it up, and I believe even Bretta's brought it up the last time he was on the show, that they do in fact believe that Berhalter is on the hot seat come this Copa. And assuming the results don't go his way, and let's just say he does get shit canned. I mean, we have this rumor now that Jesse might go to Canada, which I don't know if that's necessarily true. It's just a rumor. He's an American without a gig right now.
It would be premature hiration for Jesse to take a Canada job when all it takes is a really bad group stage, maybe really bad though, group stage, which is all the more possible with Dest being gone, by the way. Like, it's possible we win 1 out of 3 and we're out, right?
Yeah.
It's possible. And I know Pete's going to go, well, that's not acceptable. Of course it's not acceptable. But we are talking Greg here, and we are talking about missing one of our most creative players, Dest. We don't have any other player that could do what Dest does. And we'll get into that later.
Yep.
So
Bimar says Berhalter isn't getting fired. Who are we kidding?
I would.
That's my mentality.
That's what I believe too, BMR. But we keep having people.
I see it. When it happens, then I'll say, "Look, it happened."
But we keep having people tell us, like when Alexi was on the show, that if he has a really bad Copa, he could be out. Like, his ass is to the fire right now. I don't believe it. I think Jesse could go out in the group stage in Copa and still, not Jesse, and Greg could still keep his job. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah. I think, go ahead, finish your thought. My bad.
Oh, I was just going to say, and nobody can convince me of that, because I think that Betty Crocker just really loves Greg's cooking. Why? I don't know. Greg's really never been able to cook up anything. Certainly not a full meal with all the fixins. We only get to see it here and there against teams that aren't really that great.
Taking that a literal standpoint, looking at Greg, I look at a guy who, when he cooks it very basic with no flavor,
right?
Grilled cheese and
his muffins don't even have blueberries, right? So
cheese and meat. That's good. Done.
I got an itch. Hold on.
Back scratcher.
Oh, you know what I used to scratch the back?
A
hammer.
That's close.
Hammer solves every problem you have. Nails, boop, boop, boop.
Intruders.
Itches, boop, boop. Intruders. Yep. Jerking off. No, not so much helpful. All right.
It's an epic move if you're managed to master that.
Well, and it's cold. It's got that cold steel.
But it's funny that not only Canadians but also American fans are really focused on the big names, the names that have been floating around everywhere.
Yeah.
But they forget about another American coach who's moving up in the world.
Fabian Hürzeler. Ha! You think he's taking the Canadian job?
No, of course not. But I saw this article and I wanted a segue there.
Well, there are some people in this watch this show who don't believe that Fabian Hürzeler qualifies as an American. I have to tell you, he was born in the United States, so that's all that counts to me. And he has a passport, and he speaks perfect English. Yeah. So there you go. Compared to Nagelsmann, St. Pauli boss wants to go his own way. He's St. Pauli are in second now, so they're still in the auto promotion zone, I believe.
Yep.
And what does that mean? If they get promoted to the Bundesliga, even though he is the hottest coach that everybody wants to hire in the Bundesliga, I think he's going to stay with St. Pauli for at least a season. Although that might hurt him, because if they do really bad, then maybe he won't be the hottest coach anymore, right? If you can't keep him up. But right now, he is the hottest thing going. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, I've been saying it now for months and months and months and months and months. Keep your eye on this coach. He's really good. But we'll see what happens. I think they're going to get promoted. Yeah.
So, right now they are, they're like 11 points over their local rivals. Hamburger.
Hamburg. Yep.
Hamburger.
Yeah, you can say that if you want. Hamburger SV.
Yeah.
SV. I'm sorry, to be completely accurate. So keep an eye on Fabian Hürzeler. I don't think that if you ask someone at U.S. Soccer how aware they were of Fabian Hürzeler, since it's basically a requirement to be an American to coach the U.S. national team, as we've all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
He at least has that passport, right?
Yeah.
And he can speak English really well.
The U.S. starts going, oh no, another German.
Another Jürgen. Oh, shite.
But if he does happen to get up, if they do happen to get promoted, he will in fact be the youngest coach in the top 5 leagues.
He will.
By a few months, because W still, there was an actual quote with his name. I don't know who it is though. It's 31, but he's gotten by a couple months.
Yeah, no, super young. I mean, honestly, he could still be playing, but he wasn't a very good player. So there you go. And he had injuries too. So all right.
These are just some quotes about from that article. In comparison to Nagelsmann, he goes, "It wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair to him because he's an amazing coach." Of course, I always hear those comparisons with Julian. Let's see. But I, like I said, I must stay humble and walk my own way. That's always nice to hear.
Yeah, I can't do it the same way because that's the Nagelsmann way, and I try to go the Hürzeler way. Well, that's always smart. Why copy somebody? Just like everybody tries to copy Pep, and nobody quite does it.
Yeah, and then this is just a breakdown of his style, and he compares what you have to do in the two Bundesliga in comparison. It's more about long balls and set pieces are important. You have to defend more as a team because you only attack and dominate the game. The other teams are too good for that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I learned you need to find a good balance between stability when you work against the ball and to create chances with the ball. That balance will be even more critical in the Bundesliga next season. So he's already thinking they're going.
Yeah,
that's confidence.
Yeah, they got a nice little point lead, and they've got the actual article. The article talked about how they can guarantee promotion with back-to-back wins against one of their local rivals.
Wonder who that
Wouldn't that be fun?
Wonder who that is. But yeah,
I closed down the tweet, so I don't have it right now.
That's fine.
Actually, it should be right here. This one here. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's just somebody to keep an eye on. Just really because he's got the passport. He's more like David Wagner, though, right?
Yeah.
When you go look up David Wagner on Transfer Market, yeah, he's got an American flag next to him because he played for the U.S. men's national team. But I don't think anybody in England looks at David Wagner and goes, "Oh, there's an American coach," because they don't. They seriously do not think of him that way, even though he played for the U.S. men's national team briefly for a few games, handful of games.
So it looks like the two rivals are Hamburg and Rostock.
Okay, makes sense. Yep.
So I guess while we're talking about coaches and the Americans, that's going to take us right into our Sergino Dest topic here.
Or do you want to do Yanks?
Want to do Yanks next? We can do Yanks next.
All right. Let's talk about the Yanks Abroad. On Friday, Timmy Chandler was in the 18 for Frankfurt, but didn't play. Weah went 68. 68 rather of uneventful minutes. McKennie came in for Weah with 22 minutes left. Again, like torture. Yeah, that's what it was like watching the game.
Mm-hmm.
Male Corbeaus down in 3 Bundesliga went 90 for Arminia Bielefeld. They won, but they're currently way down in 15th, and they're risking dropping down to Regional Liga. Let's see. Joe Richardson was in the 18 for Sandhausen. He is a 22-year-old midfielder that plays in 3 Bundesliga. I know. Why are we going down that far? Because he's 22. And that's the only reason I went there. If he were 25, I would have just said, fuck him.
Bundesliga.
Male Corbeaus, by the way, is nearly 30. So I only brought him up as a joke. Christopher Lund went 90 for Palermo. They're tied for 6. It looks like they're going to be in that playoffs, the promotion playoffs. And then we had Gideon Zalalem 83 for Den Bosch in the 2nd division. They're in Holland. They are currently tied for 19th and will be dropping. So I don't know if Gideon wants to go down to the beer pub leagues, which is basically what the 3rd division in Holland is. So he'll probably leave, my guess, and try to go somewhere else. Hilton and
I was going to say, with torn up knees, I mean, your options are going to be limited.
Right. I'd agree with that. And then he had injuries during the season too, which is when their drop started when he left and was out with injuries. Hilton and Osundina are currently 4th with Dordrecht. In another win for them this weekend means that they're in the promotion conversation to move up to the big boy league in Holland. So that's 2 very young Americans playing for a 2nd division team in Holland that could be taking the place of Vitesse or Volendam next season and get their asses handed to them. So we'll see how that works out. On Saturday, Trusty went 90 minutes in a loss. He played at an actual center back position, and it really wasn't his fault. So, I mean, I don't know how many times I can say this. They lost, but it wasn't his fault. Because they
at least 5 more times.
Probably at least, yes. Ethan Horvath, but God give him props. He's starting as a center back or a left back almost every single game for them this season. And that there's something to that you have to respect. You have to respect that. Ethan Horvath, another 90 and a win. Josh Sargent, a 90 and an assist in a tie. They really needed a win, Norwich. Norwich needed a win. They only got a tie. Gooch is still injured. Reggie Cannon still can't get a minute for QPR, and they are probably going to be relegated. So he's going to have to find a new team. Besides, he doesn't play for them anyhow. I mean, they gave him a few games. He stunk up the place. They benched him. Paredes, 25, so Paredes back to being a bench player. Why? He had some really good games through the middle and early in the season. And then he just became a complete non-factor for game after game after game after game. And you can't go play in the Bundesliga and be a non-factor. And so that's why he's coming off the bench again now.
Because Aaronson's problem too early on.
And then Aaronson's gone the other direction. Damian Downs in the 18 for Köln. They lost, and they are going to get relegated. They're currently 17th. It looks like they are probably headed out, which is sad for one of the best and greatest cities in Germany, Cologne. If you're an American, it's Cologne. If you're in Germany, they call it Köln. John Brooks, 20 minutes in a win, so he's coming back from that injury. Scally, 20 minutes in a loss. Pifak was injured, didn't play. But Scally apparently got an assist, and I watched the game, and I don't know, I didn't even know he got an assist. How did I miss that? But good for him.
Get your blinders on, Derek. You already have your set, fixed idea of Scally. We're going to be getting into that shortly.
Well, you know how I watch games sometimes.
I know.
Yeah. I'm walking around, I'm doing some other shit in the house, and I'm listening to the game. And if I hear his name pop up, I'm like, oh, shit, what's going on? Then I pay attention. Maloney, 54 and a loss. It's unfortunate. That seemed like a game they could have done better at. So kind of an iffy game for Maloney. Got yanked in the 54th. Brendan Aronson, 90 minutes and a loss for Union Berlin. Definitely not his fault. This is the best stretch of games that Brendan Aronson has played for Union Berlin, which is good news for him because he's about to head back to Leeds and decisions are going to have to be made. Luca De La Torre got 12 coming back from injury, and they got a win, so that gets him to 17th, pops him up a spot out of the relegation zone. I didn't catch the Cardoso game. I missed it altogether. Kave Zahir Leslam went 20, so now he's coming off the bench for St. Truden in Belgium. And that's unfortunately a demotion for most of the season for him. Well, you're not scoring. You're not scoring, and the other guy that's coming in for you is scoring. Then he's going to take your job. That's how that works. Brian Reynolds, 90. Huh?
I said you don't say.
Yeah, I'm right. Brian Reynolds, 90. Griffin Yao, 70. But Griffin Yao had a goal and an assist. So, say what you will, but I guess that counts as being on fire for Westerlo as they won. Marlon Fossey's still injured. Maximilian Dietz went 90 and another loss for Greuther Fürth as they have plummeted at the end of the season since Julian Green's injury. Julian Green didn't play. And without Julian Green, this team looks like total dog piss. So they are dropping like a rock. They're all the way down from being in the promotion zone down to 9th. Now, Johan Gomez, 61 minutes and a goal and a win for Braunschweig, who have now moved up to 13th when it looked for a while they were certain to be dropped. So they might survive after all in the 2 Bundesliga. Justin Butler went 12 minutes for Bayern 2 in a win. Gio Caccini, 22 minutes for Como in a win. They're now in second. They look absolutely like they're going to get promoted, but everybody getting too excited about that should realize that Gio Caccini is not a starter for Como, which is in Serie B, and if they get promoted, it's going to be even less likely that he's going to be a starter next season because they're going to go out and buy some people. Where are we? Lucio, 90 minutes and a goal. Tessman, 90 minutes in that win as well, as they move up into third and back into almost contention for the auto spots. got to keep your eyes peeled as the season ends for that one. Novakovic went 75 in a loss for Lecco, who are the absolute stinkiest, worst-ass team in Serie B. They are dead last, and they are getting relegated. And so
10 points off of relegation. So, yeah, they're gone.
Novakovic will need to find a new team next season. Not that any of us care. I think most of us have long given up on him. Justin Che is still injured for Adeo. And then on Sunday, Reyna went 52 in a loss. Turner was in the 18. We already talked about the Reyna situation. Adams, injured still. Not good. Chris Richards, 90 in a win. Playing an actual center back position. Jedi, 90 minutes in a loss. I don't know what the hell's going on at Fulham, but they are stinking up the end of the season. And it might be time to bring Tim Ream back in to add some more flexibility and passing lane cracking for Fulham.
I think of Tim Ream, I think about his flexibility.
Well, it gives them more flexibility to switch fields because
a stiff wind might break his leg,
I mean, Bassi can make those passes on occasion, but nowhere nearly as often or as accurate as Tim Ream does switching fields.
Sure, fair enough.
So I think it's time,
pitch as a team,
as things are sort of fizzling out here at the end of the season, to at least display Tim Ream, put him in the shop window. You can't do that if you don't play him at all. And besides, give Bassi a rest. That would be my suggestion. And then we move on to Sabi, who went 90 minutes in a loss for Le Havre, who are down to 16th and staring relegation in the eyeballs. Balogun went 85 in a rather 85 minutes. Toljan is injured still for Sassuolo, but doesn't really matter. They are getting relegated. They are down to 19th. A lot of relegation guys in this. Yeah. Haji Wright, 90 minutes and a goal, but they still lost in PKs in the cup game. But it was fun to see him score. Slonina, 90 minutes and a loss for Eupen. They're going down, but doesn't matter to Slonina. He's going back to Chelsea where he'll be loaned out again. Sebastian Soto went 20 minutes in a loss for Klagenfurt.
I don't believe it.
Yep, happened. He's back from his back injury, so maybe he'll get more time going forward. Hey, Klagenfurt could use the goals.
Jumping back to Gaga, I saw the every save for that match earlier in the day.
Which one, Slonina?
For Slonina, yeah.
Yeah.
And it looked really fucking good.
Okay. Well, that's good news.
But, I mean, it was, all the saves, of course. You're going to look good when you make all your saves. But what that game ended again? I didn't even take a look at the score.
I don't remember the scoreline, but I just remember they lost. And I'm so used to it, I don't even bother looking anymore. I'm like, another L. While you look it up, Caleb Stanko went 30 minutes in a loss for Lamia in Greece. Brandon Vasquez, 30 minutes in a loss for Monterrey. Cade Cowell rode Pine for 90 for Chivas. Zendejas went 81 in a loss for Club America. Conrad got 23 for Eibar in the second division of Spain, also known as the Segunda. And then if you want to give some MLS guys a shout out, Yedlin got an assist for Cincy. I hope Greg doesn't take that too seriously. Aiden Morris got an assist for Columbus. Eric Williamson is back to playing more again, thankfully. I always liked Eric Williamson, but he got an assist. Diego Luna, after being benched, came off the bench and scored a goal. I mean, I think he's taking it seriously now because he lost his starting spot to, a 17, 18-year-old kid. And Luna is no spring chicken anymore. And they expected more out of him this season, and they're not getting it. And so he got his ass benched. But when he did come on, he did score. Calvin Fadre, who I'd never heard about until this recent report, got an assist for Austin. He's 20 years old. Brian White, which we were used to hearing that name last season, got a goal for Vancouver. There you go. That is the Yanks Abroad report. I mean, we talked about the game today with Pulisic and
Oipen lost 1-0 in that match.
In Musa, and that game we've already discussed. I'm sure somebody else played today, but I didn't look it up. I'll have to get back to that at another point and maybe make it way part of the midweek report. Let's get to the elephant in the room. Yeah, Destiny is supposedly, shredded. Sounds like a somewhat accurate word.
There was another follow-up by Fumar, mentioned 3 different ligaments in his knee.
Man, what are they doing at practice? That happened in practice, Brett.
Talking about practice.
Talking about practice. Who? What the hell happened?
When did PSV play this weekend? Was it Sunday? But they had a Saturday. They had a Saturday practice.
Yeah,
seems a little excessive there.
It reminds me of when, oh God, who was our Mexican American center back for years? Just forgot his name. Gave up the own goal versus.
Oh, Gonzalez.
Yeah, remember when Omar Gonzalez finally got signed by Eintracht Frankfurt? And he went to his second practice at Eintracht Frankfurt.
Oh, yeah.
And Timmy Chandler busted his fucking leg, broke his leg in the first or second practice they played. He's like, motherfucker. So he had to go all the way back to the United States to get treatment, and his Bundesliga career was over. Wow, that's some sad shit. But busting and shredding your knee in a practice seems like, wow, what are we doing here? And
Man, Did you see the good?
I was going to say it could have been just something as simple as a bad plant.
Sure.
Right. So.
Did you see the interview he did? Omar Gonzalez did with Tom Bogert and his new podcast.
No,
I saw a snippet of it on the X, and apparently during his career as a professional player, he was battling with thoughts of self-deletion.
Well, especially after that happened in.
I'm sure it didn't help the situation.
Yeah, that did not help. Yeah, and it's good when players come out and talk about their mental health, and it's something everybody's willing to listen to. Because I tell you what, when Landon Donovan did it, he got cut from the team, the World Cup team.
Well,
for taking a break.
Yeah, and I haven't watched the Tony Meola one on CBS. Not CBS, Paramount Plus one. What's the new one where Kate's hosting and they've got Davies and shit
kicking it.
They had Tony Meola on there recently, and there's a whole that's a
tearjerker.
I was gonna say I need to go back. I need to go and watch that one. Maybe we can cover that thing. But he had the same similar situation where he had to take time off from the national team because of family situations. A
very serious family situation.
And apparently USSF was not very happy.
Yeah, he had some U.S. soccer pudwhacker approach him when he came back, walk up to him and say,
"What a dick."
Yeah, basically said, "I didn't even want you back here."
Well, he goes, "I swore you'd never put on this jersey again."
If I were Meola, I would have fucking jacked that mother straight in his nose. I would have broken his face. Honestly, I would have cracked that dude. And the fact that Tony Meola won't name this prick is not good. The rest of us should know who this prick is, and he should be shamed publicly.
Though that makes me wonder because he's still obviously still doing broadcasting, not necessarily for USSF or anything like that, but he's still in that industry. And the fact that he doesn't want to name names,
well, he wants a job,
would make me think that the guy is still in a position of power of some form,
right? And you can't,
for that matter,
you really can't. You can't fuck with U.S. soccer people because they will figure out a way to make your life miserable. They'll try to figure out a way to make you unhireable. They'll spread dirty rumors about you behind your back. And they'll do everything they can to make you look illegitimate and unimportant. So I guess that's probably in Tony's mind. By the way, if you didn't catch it, I did post in our video section, not in the live section, the video section. You can find our 2012 interview with Tony Miola on youth development.
Yeah.
If you're interested in that kind of thing, because it doesn't seem like the algorithm's really helping us much on that one. Whereas the live videos, our last live show, and especially the one with Alexi, I couldn't get it off my feed, and I'd watched it, and it would still pop it up. I'm like, holy crap! So
yeah, I mean, the algorithm is a tricky thing, and if you're not posting regular recorded videos, you're probably not going to get as recommended. Where we generally just do live streaming, that's on us on this front, but
the one with Jimmy did well.
Yeah. I think that made it's way around Twitter, quite frankly. I think that's where we get a lot of our end of traffic from.
Because of the Adu thing. Freddie Adu thing, yeah.
Yeah. But I'll say going back to the 2012 interview we did with Miola and stuff like that, I thought the most interesting line he had in that entire segment that you cut out was when he talked about how we're coaching more coaches than we are professional athletes.
Oh yeah.
So
because that makes more money for U.S. soccer.
Well, I mean, in the end, it's when you're coaching a team, and every coach has a team of say 25 players. If you're talking about the higher up academies, even more. 99% of those players are probably not going to end up becoming a professional player in the end.
That's great.
So most of those players are going to be future coaches for insert club here, or even recreational clubs, or just whatever. And they're going to be coaching other youth and developing the culture from that point. And that was a great talking point of something how to address that problem. Is that you're not really focusing on developing these professional players for the most part. Mm-hmm. You're really focusing on developing people who enjoy the sport, who will continue to enjoy the sport and continue to develop it for years to come.
Share it with future generations.
Yeah.
I also think that the whole perspective has changed since that interview in 2012 with Tony, in that back then we were still talking about cross training and cross sport training, right? We were still talking about, like, when I played, I was on the tennis team, I wrestled, I was on the soccer team, and one year I was also played baseball. I mean, I went to 3 different high schools, and the seasons all changed what season you could play. It's because when I moved to here in Indiana, the soccer season's the same season as tennis. Like, I had to make a choice. I had to make a choice, and that sucked for me. Those were my 2 favorite sports. I was just better at tennis than I was soccer, and so I picked it. And I just went with it. And of course, I was the number 1 player for Lawrence Central. And I would have been a battle probably. I didn't know how good this Lawrence Central team was. And I knew this. I knew I was a senior, and I knew I was only going to be there for a year. And they might just cut me because what do they need me for? I'm only going to be there for a year. I would have to go there and blow their fucking nutsacks off, right? They have to go like, this guy's on our team, and he is starter. So we are keeping him, even though he's only going to be here for a year. So yeah.
I mean, growing up, I only played soccer. I may have played like one winter session of basketball in my lifetime. But from like age 4 until 18, I played for the most part year-round soccer. Recreational was always like, obviously they had their own seasons, but then once I got to 3rd grade, it was nothing but soccer at that point. But the thing is that up until high school, before elementary and middle school, none of my friends that I hung out with in my neighborhood or anything like that ever played soccer. So I then was playing, tackle football in people's yards. We were riding bikes throughout the neighborhood, playing basketball.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not like it was like really like focused on one aspect of sports and stuff like that. I had a wide range of education in that sense. At the grassroots level for the most part, but then soccer was my big thing.
Yeah, I played basketball too. I mean, not in high school really, but I could have been a bench warmer. I was a pretty good 3-point shooter, but there was no 3-point line back then, people. That's how old I am.
Back in my day,
there was no 3-point line in high school basketball.
I used to shoot my free throws underhanded. We called it granny style.
Levernet, by the way, also says Derek was blowing a record of ton nut sacks this season. Indiana record. Oh, that's good. All right. Fumar says, wish soccer didn't have such a negative stigma when I was a kid. Yeah, me too. I mean, it really, I don't know how negative it was at Fort Knox, because it wasn't. Not there. Not when I was at Fort Knox. That's an Army base, and all of us, almost everyone, it's an armor center. It's the armor training center. Everyone there had lived in Germany. Everyone. So you didn't get to Fort Knox without living in Germany at some point and being a company commander on the front line of West Germany versus the Soviets and the East Germans on an army base somewhere and experiencing soccer, because there was no American football. That was the sport they played. So if you join a local league, that's what you're going to be playing, soccer. So for us, there was no stigma. It wasn't until later when I got back and played off-base high school teams like Carlisle, and you could sense there was some sort of weird stigma I'd never experienced before being an Army kid. So my experience is going to be a little different than others.
Yeah. I mean, it does. Nye Michael says, depends on where you grew up, I guess. It's true.
And how old you are.
You're basically saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Laverdot says, I had to travel an hour and 10 minutes to play in his travel team soccer. So that was inaccessible in his day.
That is crazy. Yeah.
I mean, there were a couple of teams in Indy whenever we were playing. But for the most part, I mean, we were traveling down to Columbus, Bloomington, South. We were going up to South Bend, down to Evansville, and anywhere in between, really, over to the Hogue.
Yeah.
So,
well, you've heard the Dempsey stories.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's always a fascinating sense that you had a family dedicated enough that it would drive you 3 hours to practice, how many 4 times a week or whatever it was, plus in games. That's insane to think about. Looking at myself as an adult, I'm going, oh man, that would be rough.
Yeah, that's crazy. It really is. But I mean, my mom and John Dross's mom used to take turns driving us to Louisville during the winters to play indoor soccer for FC Muka, which means mosquito in German. And so they did their part, back in the Fort Knox days. All right, so is it time for the big topic then?
Yeah. So obviously we talked about briefly that Sergino Dest tore up his knee, and he's going to be out for 9 months plus at this point.
Right.
So no Copa. He's going to miss the rest of the season, and then probably a good healthy chunk of the next season too. Depending on where he's going to be at that point. That's going to be a tricky question right there, because he had made a comment how he didn't necessarily want to sign with PSV or stay in the Dutch league or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, that can't help his potential options moving forward.
No, it's not, because that's a major injury, and that scares the shit out of teams. So,
do you think at that point he might be a little more welcoming to at least? I wonder how many years he has left on his contract. It's got to be down to like the final year or so.
It's getting close. I like how Tony Martinez says it's about time. Hey, Tony, you're lucky. You're lucky we're getting to it this early.
Yeah.
Usually we don't get to the actual real topic of the show until 2 hours and 30 minutes into the show. So I'm sorry if we have tried your patience. Anyhow, here's the scary thing. There is no like for like, obviously, replacement for Sergino Dest. It does take us from being, I think, real contenders to maybe even win our group to just probably squeaking by at second place. And does put us at threat for maybe having an oopsie moment and not even making it out of the group.
We got what? We got Panama and we got what? Bolivia, is it?
Panama. Yeah.
I think regardless of who we have at right back, we should be able to be, unless one of those two teams really low key or low block bunker us and take us out that way.
Well, I think you could expect that from Panama, maybe. Although Panama doesn't like to always play like that. They'll pick their spots. They'll press us high too.
You don't think Bolivia would?
I don't think so. I mean, they're used to doing it against Argentina, Uruguay, and Brazil and Colombia, so they're going to be good at it. Let's put it that way.
If they change their system, they actually attack us. I think that's going to play into our hands more so than their hands. But
here's why it won't. Dest is one of the few players that we have that can dribble by 2 or 3 guys in the box and create an opportunity. Only 2 other guys that can really do that on our team, Pulisic and Reyna.
No, I'm saying if Bolivia doesn't sit back in a low block,
they will probably.
And if they go into the attack against us, it's going to open up the pitch, and that plays into our hands. Yes, losing Dest sucks, and it's going to hurt, and it's definitely going to change how we're going to play. But I'm saying that in that situation, if Bolivia does not actually sit in the low block and they actually do attack us, it's going to play into our hands.
I don't think we have any chance of beating anybody we're not supposed to beat anymore. I think that's how important Dest is. I think without Dest, it throws the whole right side of our field into chaos. I don't think Scally is anywhere like if I had to put them on levels, I'd say Dest is an 8, and I'd say Scally's a 6 or a 5 as far as being what Greg likes to do or how Greg likes to play his wingbacks. Like, Scally is such a massive step down for Greg's system that Greg might have to rethink of reordering his system, but he can't do that. He can't come out with a new formation. He's been like with 3 in the back. He's been so stubborn about the 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1 and nothing else. I think screwing with the formation would be, especially right before Copa America in the 2 friendlies, would screw things up more than they would even help.
I think by playing Scally in his formation would ultimately end up looking like a different formation anyways. Because Scally's not going to get up in the attack that much.
No, he's not.
He's going to sit back further. It's going to allow freedom for Jedi to get up into the attack more.
All right, Mr. Positivity.
Well, I'm not. There's nothing positive about what I just said. I literally just said a fact.
Yeah, but I mean, okay.
That's going to result in some good scoring opportunities for us in the future. I've never said anything like that.
But you've seen how easy it is for teams when Greg pushes Jedi so far up the field left, right into the defense, that he's almost made Jedi in the last handful of games unusable.
Well, I mean, that's been Greg's MO with Jedi on that left flank always. Is him going up and down that pitch, literally getting into attack. What he has to do is he has to pull back his runs, wait for his opportunity, and then wait for Pulisic to cut into the middle because he'll always cut it to that middle.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch Fulham and when Jedi's great with Fulham, basically what they do is they go down the other side, they go down the right, and the defense shifts over to that side, giving him space to operate on the left, and then they quickly shoehorn it around to him so he's got some space to run into in front of him before he meets the defense. He's not a tiki-taka guy. He's not going to do a boom, boom, boom pass. That's Dest. Dest can do that shit. And also, Jedi can't dribble like with massive skill past 3 players, like and make them all look stupid.
No, they're two different backs. I'll
completely. And then you're losing all of that with Dest gone on the right side. How Weah? That makes Weah really kind of out there on that wing by himself on that whole side of the field. It's because Scally's not going to be able to do what Dest does, which is moving to past a couple players and finding Weah down the line or finding Weah in an open space. I don't even think Scally has that kind of vision. And I'm not saying this to just shit on Scally, but I don't think Scally's the answer. I think if we settle on Scally, that's probably a losing proposition. And if we're going to go ahead and play the 4-2-3-1, which is going to leave Musa off the starting lineup anyhow, this is a crazy thought, but can't Musa do a lot of the same things Dest does, except he can't finish? He's great at carrying the ball forward. He will dribble and make players look foolish. He'll dribble past guys. Question is, can he play the defensive role necessary to play right back? Because I don't want to waste McKennie out there. I really don't, even though McKennie plays that wide role often for Juventus. I don't know. This is a quandary, man.
I think it depends on who we're playing and the style that we're expecting the opposition to play. I mean, if we're going to be playing against a team that's going to be attacking us nonstop, I don't think having Scully in the back would be a negative, quite frankly.
I agree. So you're playing a good team.
It'd be like when Gladbach played Bayern or Leverkusen or whatever, like Bayern in this situation, because I was going to bring up the fact that he shut down Davies in that one game. But using that as an example. When we're using the Jamaican team as an example, where they sat back in their low block, most of the game at least, Scally had problems because he was required. At that point, he had time to get up into the attack, and that's where the issues started rising.
Yeah, I mean, as people are pointing out in the comments, the problem with Musa is, yes, can he dribble past 3 or 4 guys? Does the ball stick to his feet like glue? Is he good in possession? Yes. Can he find a pass? Even though I have to say today he should have had an assist. He made a really good pass today. They got blundered by the forward. So, I mean, maybe he's not as bad as it seems sometimes with his passing. He's really good at short passes, but I think if you're trying to get the ball up the field to Weah and you're progressing the ball up the right side of the field, you're trying to find that breaking pass. And that is not a skill of his. That is for sure. But at least he brings you a lot of skills on the right and we've seen him, by the way, have to play right back this season for AC Milan. We've seen him play right back, right wing today, right? I think if I'm looking at 2 practice games before the Copa, I might want to try that out and see how it looks, because he's going to be on the bench anyhow, because if Adams is healthy, God help us.
Well, I mean,
then it's going to be Adams McKennie playing the double pivot with Reyna in the front of them.
So I guess when it comes to Greg, you have to kind of go based off of history. He doesn't really tinker all that drastically, especially on such short notices. What did we see last window? We saw Scally get subbed out against Jamaica, and we saw Weston go back as a right back.
So that's
I would see that as a more of a likelihood than Moose in the situation.
I'd say you're probably right, because I don't think that Greg really wants to start Scally. I think he'll do whatever he can to not start Scally, because he'll want to get the best 11 guys on the field. And so does that mean starting McKennie at right back? It could be, because one thing McKennie is good at is he is good at crossing the ball and finding the guy on the back post. He's good at it. Well, it just seems like such a waste of his other skills, though, to me.
We have to remember that, again, McKennie is not Dest, so you're not going to get the exact same thing.
No, you're not.
The one good thing in that sense is that, at least with the U.S. men's national team, Weah and McKennie have good chemistry together. Right. Not necessarily at Juve, where I think that may play into the fact of Allegri ball playing a hindrance there. I think under Berhalter, I think McKennie and Weah have a great chemistry built up, and they understand where each other are going to be. So that'll be beneficial. But I'd prefer that, obviously, that to be in the midfield and in the wing. The other option there would be, instead of McKennie, you're going to you could look at Weah.
Yeah, well, that fucks up everything on the right totally, then, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, then it depends on who you put up right.
Well, then you move Pulisic to the right, and you start Weah. Haji on the left.
You also have Sargent as an option for wing play, but I'd prefer, as we mentioned, I think with Alexi, I'd prefer that he'd be playing up top.
I kind of agree with Fumar, though. I just think McKennie's so vital in that midfield, because what happens is you put McKennie out right. Now you're starting Musa or Johnny next to Adams. I don't like that.
I concur. I would much rather have McKennie in the midfield, and I would much rather just rely on our back depth. But to the point, again, Scally, I think, is a very specific back or right back for against specific opposition.
So you're going to stick with Scally for this going into Copa America?
I just literally said that he's for specific oppositions.
All right, I'm talking
so
about
if we're playing a low block, no, I don't want to see him back there. Because I think he becomes obsolete and useless at that point. And then prone to make mistakes.
You mean if the opposition's playing a low block?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably just going to be Bolivia.
I could see it against, we'll see.
So you're going to start Scally versus Panama and
I'd start at least with Panama
and
Uruguay. I guess you go with the Panama one as a start with Scally, and then Judge move from there. I guess because if he has another stinker of a game, like you saw against Jamaica, I mean, at that point, then you can't rely on him.
But you could use the 2 prior games before Copa to test some of this out.
That's true too. Absolutely, 100%. That's what you'd have to do, right?
I mean, since Musa,
we're definitely going to be on our heels in those games too.
Musa's played, been forced to play right back for AC Milan this season. I think some left back too, actually. And he didn't look bad. And he's going to be riding Pine. I want to find a way to get that guy on the field. Unless you really, really think Weah can handle playing right back, and I don't know if he can, because all we've seen him play is right wing back, and he didn't really look very good with Lil when he was thrown out there at left back. And sometimes I don't think he ever got to play right back. I don't know. I don't like the idea of playing Weah there because Weah's not having a good season. I know he's been good for us, or traditionally he's been good for us. I just don't see him as a right back. I don't think he sees himself as a right back. And he is a good crosser. He's not good in tight spaces. And the only way he's going past somebody is with his speed. He's not going to dribble past people. That's for sure. So I don't know. There's some limitations to Weah's game that Musa has that Weah doesn't. So you could keep Weah where he is, where he's good for us, right? Or you could just toss him off the field altogether and put Pulisic up right and put the hot man, Haji Wright, on the left wing. Now, but we're talking about Scally, so I won't get into that yet. That's another whole conversation, really.
That's why we're talking about some depth. I wanted to bring up a couple of Twitter threads, and then I've got a couple of other ones where we just talk about what ifs. So,
Fumar says, time to see if Reynolds is the guy. I think he's clearly not. I think he
was good in Gold Cup. But aside from that,
Gold Cup.
I know.
It's not even a legit tournament anymore. So I wasn't that impressed. Somebody else said Fossey. Now, I don't know. I don't know how bad Fossey's injury is, but I don't think Fossey's ready for that, and he's never been incorporated into the team and knows nothing.
I'm literally about to say that. That's throwing him in the deep end at that point, going straight to Copa.
Yeah, we weren't even sure if Greg knew who Fossey was.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea of playing Richards out there. U.S. men's national team. Stan. Come on, Adam. What is it with these takes? Richards is basically Scally, but taller and bigger. That's it. He's not going to do anything offensively for you. He's going to play a very conservative.
Scally's much more mobile.
Yeah, I would take Scally over because, listen, he only plays for Crystal Palace really at right back in a sort of emergency formation lineup setup. That's not where he's going to shine.
An interesting, before we even an interesting one is obviously we haven't even talked about our backup left back.
Toljan.
No.
Well, that's the picture. Back. That's a picture of Toljan.
Before we get to this, Derek, we haven't even talked about our backup left back.
Lund.
Like you're not listening to me. Yeah, we haven't even talked about Lund. I mean, his style fits more more Jedi style, but
Lund's never played right back in his life.
Okay.
Ever.
Well, okay, so he plays left back. First off, I'm going to flat out say this. He plays left back, but we're talking about putting a midfielder and a striker as a right back as options here.
And he's severely left-footed.
So I mean, I would say Dest is severely right-footed, but he plays on the left. He plays on left.
No, he is not. Dest is good with both feet. He's one of the guys that you used to applaud it and say guys need to be good on passing with their left and their right, and he's good at both because he's had to play left back for PSV almost all season, and it doesn't even.
It's a little harsh.
And it doesn't even look like I even notice a difference between his left and his right. To be honest with you, I really don't.
Severely may have been a bit harsher, I would say, but either way, we're talking about options here.
Yeah, shooting the shit.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, we've been talking about Toljan on this channel for 2 years. Okay, it ain't happening, and he's injured. It just happened. He just got injured. I don't know how serious it is. It looked like a hammy. Maybe not that serious. But then again, you're also dropping a guy in who has never been called up, that Greg's never showed any interest in whatsoever. Not even a little interest. Like, this doesn't even titillate him. His nipples don't even get hard when he talks about a guy like Jeremy Toljan, who's, by the way, been playing for 3 seasons straight, off and on with injuries, unfortunately for him, for Sassuolo in Serie A. And nobody cared. Nobody's cared.
Well, there was people keep bringing up, every time Toljan gets brought up, people always bring up, was it with Weah, they were at Rangers? The Summit Rangers?
Yes.
And he had basically told Weah, emphasized, hey, maybe you should, think about repping the United States.
I reported that.
Yeah, and he basically said, nah. So maybe
he did say yes.
What?
He told Weah when they were teammates at Rangers.
Everybody's posting that.
Well, they're wrong. No, they're absolutely wrong. That is not the case. He did not say nah. He did not say no. That is not what he told Weah at all. Where are they getting this? Where are they getting this report? That's incorrect. That's not what he told Weah. He said he'd be interested. In fact, he was so interested at one point, he went to the United States, to visit his dad's family. His dad is dead, by the way. He's passed away. And he met his dad's family for the first time and was able to confirm, yes, he does qualify to play for the United States. So this whole idea that he doesn't want to go is absolutely ridiculous. Who else is he going to play for? Croatia? Germany? They don't need him. We need him. We need him. And he can play left or right. And he's, honestly, I mean, he's an upgrade from Lund. I could tell you that much.
Oh, he's currently playing in Syria. Of course he is.
Mm-hmm. But it's not going to happen. Greg doesn't even know who fucking Jeremy Toljan is.
No, and I think, again, Berhalter's a creature of habit. So, we were talking about the different depths and stuff like that, and they go, obviously, Scally, and then you're probably going to be looking at somebody like Jones, quite frankly.
Probably.
Just if history's any indication, guys.
DeJuan Jones, Reynolds probably has a good shot at it, too. Yeah. Not that they're going to play, because I don't even know if Scally's going to play at this point. I really don't. I think Greg's going to use those 2 practice games to consider somebody else starting at right back. He might even push Tyler Adams back out there for all we know.
Once again, yes.
If Tyler's healthy, we don't know what Greg's going to do. We can only, as you said, go off precedent. He has put Adams back at right back before, and he's put McKennie to cover Scally when Scally was having a stinker, right?
Well, this would be one of the instances where when you have 23 players, and instead of bringing somebody like Jones or Reynolds who's completely untested, I mean, you can test him in those 2 upcoming friendlies, of course, or you can test, as we mentioned earlier, Weah or Musa or McKennie for that matter, at the right back option. But why would at that point when you're going into Copa, you got 23 spots. Why would you waste it on a right back who stands almost no chance at all to get playing time? Why not use that to fill in, bring in, say, if you're going to possibly play Musa or McKennie at right back, end up bringing in somebody like Maloney or Luca De La Torre instead. I
think calling Reynolds and Jones untested is unfair. They've had their shots.
You never said they were untested.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Thought you just did.
Nope.
The beginning of that whole
I
paragraph.
said you can test them in the upcoming 2 ones, but I never said they were untested.
Well, okay. That's fair because, they have been tested and they've been shown wanting. Let's just put it that way. But Jones does give you a little bit more going forward, I think.
Sure.
Than Scally does. Scally, yeah, he kind of never progressed this season. He's kind of stuck in last season.
This season was a stinker for sure.
Yeah. Tolkien, I think. Listen, I don't know where Tolkien's career is going to go. I hope he moves abroad and tests himself at a higher level. But I don't think he's the solution yet, unfortunately. I don't know what the solution is going to be. Sergeant at right back says, Bjorn. Sergeant can play anywhere. Give him the goalie gloves.
People had talked, obviously, they brought up Richards. Untouchables brings up CCV at right back. But again, we're coming across the same problem at that point, guys. We're playing at that point, we'd be going to almost a 3 center back line with Jedi pushing into the midfield.
And then that fucks Greg's whole system up.
Yeah. And at that point, why not just keep the system and then you could throw Scally in there, and then in the attack, you're practically playing with 3 center backs.
If you're going to ask this team to play as if they have 3 center backs, they're going to get mind fucked because Greg has not tested this with them at all except one time, and it went horribly, horribly wrong when they did try it once. And so I think in this conservative situation, Greg's not going to go experimenting in those 2 games before. Not that kind of experimentation in the 2 games before Copa America. I think he's going to stick to either the 4-3-3, God help me, or the 4-2-3-1, please, because Reyna needs to be playing center attacking midfielder, not out on the wing. End of story. At least to be playing midfield if you do play 3 in the middle, I guess, but 4-3-3. But please, God, put him in the middle of the park. The question will be how confident, and Greg's a huge believer in McKennie and Musa. He loves those 2 guys. I could honestly say I don't think Greg's a big fan of Scally. I think he calls Scally in because there's nobody else, but he'd rather not play him. Because even when we were talking about going into the last games, prior to that, he wasn't talking about Scally. He was talking about Shaq Moore. Not Scally, Shaq Moore as a replacement for Dest.
Well, I think he was talking about for that, not necessarily a starter, immediate starter. I think he's taking his spot in the quote unquote roster for that match.
That's not what I heard.
I'm going strictly off of how I interpreted what he said. Now, yeah. I don't know anything behind the scenes by any means, but all I heard was, we're going to possibly be looking at more replacing Dest, not necessarily as a starter, but in that lineup or the game day roster. That's the way I took it, at least.
Nay Michael says his Brooks hurt. No, he's back from injury. But if you think
right back either,
he can't play right back either. He can play left center back, and that's about as good as you're going to get out of him. Mm-hmm. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, if you've been watching this show for any amount of long a time, you will know we broke all the story. We broke the story on Brooks, the locker room conversation, the shoe that was thrown or whatever was thrown. Brooks ain't coming back. Greg fucking hates Brooks. He considers him poison to the locker room. Ain't going to happen. The closest Brooks got to be called back was in Hudson intimated that was maybe something we might do. And then, lo and behold, a week later, Hudson was gone.
Yep.
So
he managed to pick up a job in Saudi Arabia instead. So
that was sudden overnight, wasn't it? It's like, oh, you heard the rumors that Hudson was considering bringing Brooks back into the fold, and he was gone in a week. Gone. So yeah.
I did want to, main reason why I brought up the Toljan argument here, not necessarily that I expected him to be called in by any means. I don't expect any untested players really to be called in, quite frankly.
Exactly, right.
But I brought this up because it's opened up another can of worms in the sense that ATL United 711 says, or just call up Brooks Lennon, which is another option.
Or just put your balls in a vice and squeeze them until they burst.
So Edgar does go on to say that he's not Nats quality.
He's not, but I will give him credit for this. Brooks Lennon had more assists than any back in American back in MLS last season.
No, Tolkien did. Tolkien creamed him.
Was it like 13-11 or something like that?
I think Brooks was.
I thought it was pretty close. So if it was Tolkien that creamed him, then why not call up Tolkien? Because at least we know he can pass. But he's just a left back, and he's seriously left-footed. He can't play right back.
I'm even mixing him up with the different ATL guy.
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
I may be thinking of somebody else then. Let's see here.
Assists last season, 2003.
2003. Yeah, so 9 in the regular season, 3 in the playoffs. Yeah.
Who's that?
Lennon.
How about Tolkien?
What's Tolkien's first name?
Jonathan. John.
Sorry, forgot whether or not it's with an H or without an H, but it's with an H. All season. I'm sure it's been in the chat already.
No, it hasn't. Nobody cares.
No, he had 9. He had 9 assists last season.
So again,
I'm thinking of the other ATL back that got called into the January camp, I guess.
Oh yeah, fast dude.
Yeah,
who's regressed. No, he didn't have even. He didn't have close to the. In fact, Caleb Wiley totally regressed last season. He has nowhere near the assist that Tolkien or Lennon had. Nowhere near.
Yeah. So again, Edgar mentions how Brooks Lennon is not national team quality, which sparked this conversation here where he goes, I haven't met a national team fan base that hates the players in their national league as much as U.S. men's national team fans.
They don't hate. It's not hate. It's about whether or not you're qualified. So it's not hate. And by the way, somebody said Paredes. Okay. A, Paredes not having a good season. B, he's another left back, and what we're really looking for is a right back. And I don't think he would play on the right. And he's a wing back. He's not really a defender. Like, defending ain't his bag of chips. I don't know if he's the solution. I mean, he might be, but he's again.
Greg has only ever played him out on the wing as either Pulisic or Weah's option or backup.
Right, correct.
So he's not gonna be tried as the right back or left back option.
That would be weird if we saw him at right back. That would be like totally out of left field for both him and Greg. So it's another idea to throw out there. I just don't see it happening in this late date.
Yeah.
So.
But finish up this topic here. The argument here where it's like I've never met a national team fan base that hates their National League fans as much as U.S. men's national team is the same argument you hear anytime that you say, "Oh, that guy's not good enough for the national team."
Yeah, it's bogus.
Well, you're being toxic. You're being toxic. No, I mean, he's not good enough to be for that. 99.9% of the U.S. Player base is not good enough for the national team.
Right.
As simple as that.
Who's the right back for the Revolution / center back that
Farrell?
Yeah. Now, if you really want to get serious and have a veteran that you could rely on, not a young kid, but a veteran who could play right back, I'm not even going to argue with Colin Reese. I think that Farrell could pull it off, but not over Scally. But if you're going to bring somebody in, I'd rather it not be some young sprite kid who we're going to have to depend on to play a huge role in this Copa America. Farrell would be reliable. I think he's almost 30 now. He's solid as fuck, and he has been for a long time. He's not as fast as he used to be, but he could probably pull it out in a pinch. But I don't think that's the solution. But I know we always argue about all these right backs and left backs, and Farrell does get kind of left out of the conversation for whatever reason. Mostly because he's been playing a lot of center back, and he's probably not fast enough to play right back anymore. What is he? He's 30?
32.
32. Yeah. He's getting a little long in the
and he has no caps. He has no international.
Oh no, he's never been called up before.
Yeah,
no
international experience whatsoever. It's a nothing burger. It's never going to happen.
So that's why it's not going to happen. Period. I don't care how much Colin Reese talks about it. I'm just saying, he's probably a better overall defender, and he still has enough speed to go forward than some of the guys we brought up tonight as MLS backups for, to play right back. I don't trust. I don't trust Lennon. I don't trust Tolkien. And he's a left back anyhow. And so's DeJuan Jones usually plays left back. So we don't need a left back. We need somebody who's really good on the right.
Well, DeJuan Jones is also right-footed, so he's very capable of covering or playing on the right.
You said that before, but he's not used to playing on the right. Do you remember that conversation that Zimmerman used to have? Not that we need to use Zimmerman as an example, but he's not the only one that said it. That when he was asked, "Is there a difference between left center back versus right?" And he's like, "Yeah, the whole way you picture the game changes." He's absolutely right. It does, because all the passing lanes are different, and the foot you decide to use is going to be different. And it does change the way you think about the game. So you go ahead and take a guy like DeJuan Jones, who's played left back pretty much his whole career at the Revs, and you move him to right back. I don't think that's a solution.
But he's played the right back for the national team.
Not very well.
Well, he hasn't played very well anywhere.
He plays well for the Revs. He plays well for the Revs.
The only time he's actually played well for the U.S. men's national team was during the Gold Cup. And that was against tiny island nations when he played well. And because Tolkien played the first match against Jamaica, and then he played the next two, and then we flamed out against Panama.
Amani Wilson says rather call up Reynolds. Reynolds probably does have a shot here. Cannon has no shot. Not only because he pissed off Greg, which they forgave him for, by the way, but also because Cannon can't get a goddamn start for QPR, one of the worst teams in the championship. He has been benched and riding pine for months. Cannon is not doing well. He's got no shot. Absolutely zero shot. 0-0-0. Hate to be honest with you, but I gotta be. He's got zero chance. And that's on Reggie Cannon. He got his shot at QPR. They gave him time. They gave him minutes. They started him. He played like shit. They pulled him. He's a bench guy. He doesn't even play backup minutes anymore.
Yeah.
So
we kind of already addressed this, but I wanted to bring it up because, he quote tweeted me and I was like, yeah, sure, we'll talk about this. But maybe this gives Greg Berhalter the excuse and or option to go with the 3 center back formation with Weah and Jedi to play on the wing back positions for the U.S. men's national team.
Nope.
It's not going to happen, guys.
No, not going to happen. No way.
I would honestly be more surprised than anything I've been surprised about if he played with 3 back come Copa. And I know that's funny because he actually made a talking point when he got rehired. He goes, by Copa, we will have a 3 back formation option available to us. But we haven't seen it.
No, but he gave up on that in a interview more recently.
Sure.
When somebody brought it up, they're like
a month or two out of there. So yeah, of course.
Yeah, he said, you once talked about practicing with 3 in the back as an option. And Greg basically said, well, we really haven't had a chance to do it, so we're not doing it now. And by the way, you play 3 center backs. All right. How is that helping you on the right, really? You can play it way out right if you want. But guess what? You're going to have to get rid of one of your skilled players because you're adding another center back. All right. That's 3 center backs. Someone's got to go either in the midfield or out wide. Someone's got to go. That's how that works. And I'm not getting rid of anybody else we got. I'm not getting rid of McKennie, Adams. I'm not getting rid of Reyna. I'm not getting rid of Pulisic. I'm not getting rid of...
Technically speaking, you're not getting rid of anybody because we already got rid of Dest. So now we're down to 10 players, and you throw in a 3rd center back and you push Jedi into the midfield.
And you're asking Weah to play the same position he plays at Juventus, where he sucks at it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess if we're playing with, or throw McKinney there. I mean, that's where McKinney played. During the World Cup, McKinney basically sat on that right wing, entire right sideline.
A lot.
a lot.
But that's only because we were overloading on offense.
Sure. But my point would be is that you could still have one of your trio of midfielders, or I guess duo. I guess it's because we're not going to put Reyna out there,
right?
Could cover that area,
right?
So I guess it would be McKinney in that sense because you'd assume that Jetta would still be on the left hand side. Adams is not going to run up and down the right hand side,
but somebody's going to have to go up top because you're playing 5 in the back. It's the way it goes. You're basically,
or you do a 3-4-3.
I don't think that's how it would look.
I wouldn't do that.
No, and it's not going to happen. I don't even know why we're talking about this, guys. If you're thinking Greg's going 3 in the back, you're just barking up the wrong tree. I don't think Greg's going to do anything like that going forward. It's too late in the game. It'll screw up his own system, which is already tenuous to begin with. So I don't know.
Well, I guess since we're talking about the 3 back, let's bring this up. This was Stevino's post.
Yeah, I commented on it.
Yeah, he talked about it's a little sketchy, but
oh shit, you're starting fucking McKenzie at center back. What the hell? Where did Ream go? That's
a great question.
Where did CCV go? You're going to start him over both of those guys?
Jedi is a left center back.
Yeah. Oh, well, technically Jedi will be able to have some freedom to go up the left. Okay. Sounds a little risky to me because, I got Johnny and Adams covering the back. Okay. Seems rather no offense is what I'm looking at there from the build-up out of the back to the build-up to the forwards.
I like how Weah has left off this lineup altogether.
Yep.
No, there'd be too many giant question marks. Our pivots would be sitting way too far back at this point.
Yeah.
And there'd be this enormous gap in the midfield that Weston can't cover all of it because Gio's pushed up higher than our wings. I don't know. This wouldn't be me.
It's interesting. I just don't think there's any way in hell it's happening.
No, but that's the thing. We talked about why this wouldn't happen, regardless of the players in the positions.
Well, and you are actually asking CP, Pulisic, and Haji to not only play left winger and right winger, you're going to ask them to come back and play left back and right back, left wing back and right wing back on defense. That's a lot of running. Those guys are going to be dead at halftime. Absolutely,
or unless Johnny and Adams stay back a little bit, and then Haji and CP just have to cover the midfield more so than anything.
But that's not going to happen. Somebody's going to have to cover that wing.
Yeah,
both of those wings, because you've got 3 center backs that are tight, and then you got 2 pivots that aren't exactly going to be playing right back and left back. Somebody's going to have to play it wide, and so Haji and CP better get ready to run their asses off. And which means they're going to be playing a lot of defense, which means they won't be available as outlets wide, which and I know that's what Greg loves.
Yep.
He loves the wide outlets on the counter or after regaining possession. Although we're so slow in transition, it never really works out. That is Greg's one of his other, besides the 9 failure, his ability to get his team to transition from defense to offense is like watching turtles fuck. It's so slow. It's slow. Yeah.
So aside from Scally as a viable option as a starter, depending on who we're talking about, again, these last 2 topics bringing up here are going to be probably what we would assume should happen. And I'm not saying that's what Greg's going to do by any means. And we kind of already talked about it throughout the entire stint here, but Kevin Durham says Weah at a right back and Haji or Josh Sargent to the wing.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy solution. It seems like it until you watch Weah play right wing back this season for Juventus, and then you see, that doesn't sound like a really good option to me. Sorry, I can only go by what I've seen from Weah this season and from his season at Lille. By the way, somebody mentioned Scally is great in the Bundesliga. Dude, don't use the word great. He's not been great in the Bundesliga. He's actually rode pine at times during the season in the Bundesliga. Mid is as nice as you can possibly be about how Scally has played in the Bundesliga this season. Mid. mid. That's it. I'm not sure. Oh, he says I'm embellishing Scally. Okay. But it would be better than Richards. Yeah, I agree with that. As a right back, absolutely it would be better than Richards.
Sorry, I'll post in case nobody else sees it there, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, just trying to follow your conversation. It's not easy to do.
Yeah. So this is the final thread on the whole topic.
All right.
And then we'll close it out with something if we need to. But I think we've pretty much talked about what we're thinking is going to be the viable.
What we're thinking, but neither of us have really come to a real solution yet, right?
We'll read this. We'll talk about it, and you'll come up like game day 1 against Bolivia, who you're starting, and so forth. And then
can we do reverse roll back? Can we talk about how we would experiment in the 2 build-up games to Copa?
Sure. Do you want to do this part? Finish this part off first, and then we'll do that.
Sure. Let's do that.
Okay.
Funny thing is, we have more than enough decent midfielders to handle progression on the right-hand side if we just switch to a double pivot. McKennie out wide as a right midfielder, right wing back. Musa as a box-to-box pivot member. Midfielder, the issue arises versus better international teams who are aggressive and compact. Does this sound like he's playing 3 in the back? Sounds like it.
When you start throwing in the wing back, yeah.
It does to me, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you say right mid, then that means that if in the double pivot, he's going to be on the right-hand side, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, we've been kind of playing with the double pivot for a good chunk since Hudson came about.
Yes.
Even quite a bit under Berhalter at that point, up until recently. But even then, Mexico, we still played double pivot. It was Gio and Adams.
If you're asking your double pivot to also cover the wings, they will be dead at halftime.
If they've got to get up into the attack, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't think that's the solution either.
Yeah. But taking this again with a grain of salt, assuming that he means to say that McKennie is going to be playing as the right back and not necessarily right mid, right wing back. Which, if you say right mid, right wing back, you're basically saying 3 in the back.
No, yeah, you are, or you're just really confused about the difference between what a right midfielder does and what a right wing back does, because they are completely different 2 responsibilities. No offense to superior U.S. men's national team.
I mean, you're basically looking at what, like a 3-5-2 with this lineup?
Sounds like it.
Or a 3-4-3, and you're pushing Reyna out wide, not as a 10.
I don't know. He never says, so we don't know what he's doing there. We don't know. Yeah. We're not going to know. He doesn't describe it in enough detail for us to really understand.
The context clues alone just indicate that it's a 3-back.
Yes. But we're guessing. We don't know. He might have some weird ass shit he's doing on Football Manager that we don't know about.
A 2-back line, right? The 2-4-4.
Yeah. He's playing a 2-2-2-2-2-2-2.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So
how would you experiment?
I would experiment.
We got Brazil and we got Colombia, I think, right?
Yep. I would experiment 2 different ways. I would give Musa a chance at right back, as he has played for AC Milan on a handful of occasions this season.
Get tested. That's definitely a good test.
And just see how it goes. And even if that's only for a half, and then you put Scally in and you let him play the second half and see how that goes. Or vice versa. I really don't care, because otherwise Moose is riding pine anyhow, because he's not playing in that double pivot, providing that Adams is healthy. That is a sticking point now, because we're getting closer and closer. And, now we've got 2 weeks out since the games with the U.S. men's national team, and Adams is still injured. Wow. Not good.
Well, I mean, even if he does come back, I mean, I would imagine that there'd still be stipulations that they kind of work together. Like, he's only going to be good for another 45 minutes.
Maybe you're right. Although he did play him didn't he play him? No, Bournemouth played him 90.
Yeah.
Right before the injury.
But then again, he's been out since then. So
yeah,
that's probably not a great sticking point.
So, but let's say he's actually healthy. Then the double pivots, McKennie and Adams. And so that leaves Musa on the bench. So let's give him a try at right back and see how that goes. You could do the Weah thing and give that a run in one of the two games for at least 30 minutes and see how that goes. But you could try McKennie out there too for 30 minutes in one of the games and see how that goes.
And I don't like moving in this situation. I don't like moving Weah to the right back.
I don't either,
because I like him up higher where he turns on the afterburners and just kills people with speed.
Yep.
Laces in those rocket low crosses.
Right.
Maybe take a shot from outside the box, but you can't necessarily rely on that's going to happen when he's trugging up and down that pitch constantly.
Sure. And having to play defense against two exceptional teams. So I don't like.
Are you talking about for the upcoming friendlies?
Yeah, the friendlies.
I was going to say, I was trying to look at the group stage going.
We are talking about the friendlies right now.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah. Verifying, yeah.
Somebody said, does Maloney play right back? He actually has played right back before for Dortmund too. It was
an interesting thing because he has a motor, so he's going to get up and down that pitch, but he's not going to do anything anywhere near what Dest would do.
Right. And he's only played there for Dortmund too, I think twice. So not somebody you want to. Yeah.
If we're talking about Maloney outside of the six, I'd much rather him be as a center back because he'd be a mobile center back who's fine with passing.
Yeah, he'd be better as a backup center back for sure.
Yeah.
Or another option in case Adams goes down with an injury, you need a backup for Johnny, right? As a destroyer, because Johnny is not a classic destroyer. He'll play defense for you, but he's not a destroyer in the same way Adams is. So there's that. So that's what I'd like to see as part of the experiment. But I'm with you. I really don't think Weah is the answer. No. And I really don't know that Moose is the answer either. I don't know. I just want to see it. I've seen him play it for AC Milan this season as a back, and I thought he looked okay. I thought he looked pretty good.
So let's say Moose gets tried, and he looks utterly lost against Colombia and or Brazil. What's going to happen come Copa 23?
Well, you're also going to try McKennie out there, right? And then Moose in the double pivot instead.
In fairness, we've seen McKennie outright, so I mean we have an idea. Even in Berhalter's, I mean I know it was only one half, but that was still a competitive game that he went out there and he still played well enough.
It does seem like such a waste of him, though.
I agree.
You know, he just brings you so much when he's closer to the box. I just hate to lose all that. Whereas Musa brings you zero in the final third. Zero. So play him out right back. It's not like you're losing this dynamic player in the center of the park.
We call him Timmy Chandler.
Hey, there you go. Timmy Chandler.
Johnson's been without a team for a couple of years. He's well rested.
You know what? If Timmy Chandler played more than 2 games this season, I might consider it. I don't think
a goal, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think Brendan Aronson can play right back, BMR, but I mean, he is a hustle merchant, so I suppose it's possible. It's not horrible. We already talked about Toljan for like 20 minutes. Yeah. So if you missed it, sorry, but we already talked about Toljan. Back up the show.
It would have been nice if we made the same argument with Scally and Luca De La Torre under Greg as well. But it would have been nice if Greg would have called Toljan in earlier.
Yeah, now it's too late.
He's a left and right back who's played a couple seasons in Serie A. And even though his team is on the brink of relegation, he is only 2 points out of relegation.
Right.
So it's still up in the air. He could, in theory, be playing in Serie A again next year. So I don't know. It's one of those things like, and if Toljan was interested and he expressed his interest, why the hell have we not called him in?
Yeah. And apparently he did express his openness to it to Weah. And we've just never really felt the need to call him up. And he's a 2-footed player who can play left back or right back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been an injury-riddled season for him, though, in Serie A. So one of the reasons they've been horrible this season, actually.
But it's fascinating, right? Because it's one thing that we give Greg a lot of credit for is the way he handles dual nats.
Yeah.
And here you have a dual nat again, whether he said it or not, it's you heard from a source, correct?
Yes.
Therefore, I mean, we'll take that. I'll take that with less salt than the rest of the
one of our trusted sources, by the way. Yes.
Okay. But it's just how for him being a dual net expert, at least that's what we joke about. How is he not called him in? It's beyond me.
I love this PMR. It's like Derek hate Fabian Johnson. I don't hate him. He's just an injury factory.
Yeah.
He should be hauled off to the glue factory. He's so injured. And his career, by the way, he hasn't retired officially, but he hasn't played for a team for 3 seasons. I think he should just retire. How about that, Fabian? And the money he was asking for from MLS teams to come to MLS was so outrageous compared to his history of injuries. Like nobody wanted to even take a chance on him. And then he said in the German press, yeah, I'm really surprised that no MLS teams are interested in me. Why are you surprised? You're like Paxton Pomacall times 10. Honestly. Keith Pierre has never really expressed a serious interest in playing for us. And by the way, he's not a right back. Julian Araujo already picked the Mexican team. That's done. Time to call Griffin Dorsey. Oh, boy.
We got Jonathan Gonzalez, but he's a left back.
Yeah, we need a right back. And, yeah, we really don't have an extra right back that can do what – listen, to say that we don't have one that can do what Dest can do goes without saying. The season that Dest has had at PSV has been outright, flat out amazing. He is schooled. Now, you can say, yeah, of course he schooled the bottom 8 teams in the Dutch league. But even against the better teams like Feyenoord and Ajax, who aren't that great this season, but still, I mean, he's looked really good. And he looked good against Dortmund, honestly. Not all of the games in the Champions League did he look good, but he mostly looked good. Frank Castler. What's that?
I don't know if I pulled this one up already.
Frank Castler, $4.99. Is everyone excited about Shaq Moore coming to Copa America? Yeah, you pulled it up. No one is excited. Ooh. And it ain't happening. I think Greg learned his lesson talking about Shaq Moore last time. Leverdad for $1.99. Any chance we start Musa at right back for low blocks? Listen, I mean, that's what I'm saying, Leverdad. I'm saying let's give that a peek. Let's give that a look during the friendlies and see what Musa, who has played again,
low block, but yeah,
that doesn't really low block or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's give him a look at right back because he's been forced out there to play it a handful of times for AC Milan. Not a lot, but still when he was out there, he did not look like a fish out of water. It looked like a position he could play.
Plus, I mean, he's so comfortable with that ball and getting out of tight spaces that.
Yeah, he's not going to get robbed. Yeah, he's not going to get robbed and pilfered like, we've seen Scally get robbed and pilfered in the Bundesliga several times this season. So Christopher Ellie for $2. Really going to miss those Dest, Weah, Wes, and Weah combos. Yeah.
Yep.
This is devastating.
The trio is massive.
If we haven't mentioned it yet, let's mention it again. To be very clear, the loss of Dest on our right side is going to be noticeable and devastating.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt bad. We just lost a playmaker, and now we only have 2 playmakers left, unless you want to count McKennie as a playmaker on occasion, but he's not that kind of playmaker.
Let's say if he does end up playing Scally at that point, then you wouldn't necessarily need to have the double pivot, and you can allow West to have more freedom to roam and Gio less defensive responsibilities. But you lose that again. You lose the explosiveness. You lose the combo plays between players because Scally doesn't bring that. He brings a little more solidified defense, but even then he could flub on that.
Right.
So.
Whereas I think that if you ask Musa to bring the ball up the right wing, I think he can do it. My only concern is his passing in the final third. And his crossing today, for instance, there were 2 good ones and as a winger, and there were 2 really bad ones that he did today. And when I say bad, I mean like he just basically kicked it out of bounds. I mean, so he's got to get better at that. But it isn't his strength. But I don't think we're going to be asking him to do much more as a right back than to cover defensively and be able to advance the ball forward crisply and clearly without threat of being dispossessed on the right side. And he's pretty good at tiki-taka too. Where Scally, that's not his bag of cheese, right? Of chips. Siphon for $5 says 352. Yeah, I don't know if you missed the last hour, but Jedi Reem Richards, we kind of went over somebody who had a very similar setup as that Siphon, and thanks for the $5. We really appreciate it. But yeah, I don't think Greg's switching to any formations at this point. It's too late in the game. Copa's too important. He's not going to screw with the system, and he's not going to change the formation.
That'd be an interesting trio. I guess. Never mind. I take that back completely. Ballistic would be out left. Weah would be out right as the wing backs. Okay. I'm on the same page here.
That's a lot.
I saw Pulley, Weston, and Adams, and I thought that was the middle three. I was like, whoa, that's different.
When's the last time you watched Pulisic have to play back, left wing back, right wing back?
Oh,
Chelsea.
Never. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that. I purposely forgot all about that.
And it was horrible. And you're going to ask Weah, who's been horrible average at best. I'm going to be nice for Juventus this season as a right wing back to play as a right wing back for this team. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
The irony behind the funny thing about Weah and his mess season with Juve is it's not his defensive responsibilities that are always the meh part. Is him getting the attack. That's what's funny because he's been serviceable in the defense.
He has,
and he recovers a lot in case the back three get burned. But
he's just a ghost
in the attack. It's a giant nothing burger there. That's funny. I mean, that's the funny part about it.
And it's not all his fault.
Oh no.
Right. It's
some of it is. Not gonna.
I mean, some of it is, but it doesn't seem like anybody trusts to pass the ball to him.
Yeah, except for Wes.
For parts of the season, at least, right? So
a good healthy chunk of the season, actually.
Yeah, it looks like nobody even looks for him. They love Wes. They give Wes the ball all the time, but they don't give him the ball.
At this point, Wes is the grizzled veteran for that team.
Yeah, exactly. All right, there are still 102 of you watching as we creep towards the 3-hour mark. We do appreciate you doing that and watching the show. I think we're going to shut it down at this point. Let's hope we see a little bit of thoughtful experimentation by Greg at right back, unless Greg's just going to settle for Scally, which is possible. But I don't think that Greg's much of a Scally lover.
No, it's been pretty apparent for how long it took him to give him a call up to begin with.
Yeah,
and then look at the World Cup debacle.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he's a Scally. I think he just Scally doesn't fit his style of play. What he expects on that side, or either side, actually.
Yep, indeed.
But there are only 72 likes out there, and we have 100 people watching right now. That means there's at least 30 people.
We had a lot more than 100 watching the show.
I'm just saying right now.
Throughout the show, yeah.
I can't say there was 120 some odd of you fools that watch the show and you haven't hit like, but I can say of the 102 that are watching us now.
Yes,
you haven't hit like yet.
Those that have hit it, you guys rock. We know who you are. Mostly, we can guess. You're commenting quite a bit, and we do appreciate that. The show's always fun. I hope you enjoyed it. We did, and do make sure don't do the whole fake celebrity stepsister porn. That's kind of weird. It really is. Just stick. Just
do real stepsister.
Just go real with it and be honest about it. Embrace it. And we will see you on Thursday. Let's hope for some good midweek stuff. And until then, many kisses, hugs, and tongue baths. All right, whatever. Good night.
That hurt.
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?